extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get
He
very
missed
close.
the complete that. He's crazy
As I
stuff.
said, Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through, he tags Richard Eck.
Hello and welcome to round 5 of the Northwest Majors series. We are at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Indianapolis 500 and you're watching it live on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Samuel Ryman. With me in the booth are Joe Peak and Sean Ambrose. Behind the scenes is our director Kevin Brown, ready to bring you all the action on the track. Also, this would not be a GSRC broadcast without the talented camera work of Dougie Beard. Well, on the greatest day of motorsports, we are at the greatest spectacle in racing at what many would be considered to be probably one of the greatest tracks on the world. And now Joe Peak was actually at this circuit earlier today. Joe, why don't you tell us a little bit about the track?
Absolutely, and there's a lot of history here. One of the oldest and most historied circuits in America, obviously. This is, of course, a 2.5-mile oval with 4 distinct corners. It's a bit of a rectangle. It's not like your typical NASCAR oval, which, tend to be a lot of D shapes and O shapes and various things. It's very unique in that sense. And with each corner, you've got 9 degrees of banking, but they're all just slightly unique, especially turn 1. You're going to see a lot of guys caught out if they just go in a little too hot around there. It's flat out the whole way around, but you can run into the wall and run out of track coming through there. And of course, with it being a 500, it wouldn't be a 500 without it being 200 laps.
Absolutely, 2.5 miles around, and this is round 5 of the Northwest Majors Championship. So that means we better look at the big picture here. So I'll send it over to our other commentator, Sean Ambrose, to take us through the top 5 in the championship standings right now.
Thank you, Sam. Right now, Toby Butler is in first place in the standings with 100 points, trying to run away with it. Brian Pager, second with 76 points. Brian Barnes with 60 points in third. Mark Redeker in fourth with 49 points. And very, very closely behind him is Ryan Otis with 46 points currently.
So quite tight early on during the championship season at the top of the standings there. Now, we got several stories to watch out for in this race, as there are about 7 minutes left of qualifying. Each car getting 4 laps of qualifying time. Their best lap will be the one that gives them their position on the grid. Well, first of all, you may notice something a little bit different to our last IndyCar broadcast on the GSRC, is that we are racing with a new chassis here, the DW12, named after the late Dan Weldon. Joe, why don't you talk about how this chassis is different to the old Dallara IndyCar and how it's going to affect the race today?
Well, this car is a V6 turbo, and it actually handles rather similarly, at least as far as I can tell. Now, I'm sure there are guys who spend a lot more time in each car and give you a lot more of the fiddly little details, but as far as we're going to be concerned today, it's going to be pretty close. However, I will say that it is a bit easier to take it flat out around Indy here, and you'll notice that the draft is significant in this car. It just cuts a huge hole. So we're going to see a bit of a NASCAR style racing kind of today, with a lot of draft battles going on. Obviously not bump drafting so much, but guys will be swapping back and forth throughout the day, and it's a bit more strategic than usual.
Yes, it's very easy every now and then to get a run on the car in front of you and go down the inside in an attempt to make a move into the corner. Obviously, at the beginning of a race, we'll see drivers giving up positions, but when it comes down to the end of a race, we might see a bit more taking. Sean, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of racecraft coming into this race today, because no one knows how many cautions there's going to be.
Well, you're right, Sam, and it is a long race, so patience is going to be very important. Last year we had a lot of cautions. This year, maybe we'll see something a little bit different, and guys can focus a little bit more on maybe fuel strategy, saving fuel at points during the race. Could be very important.
Yes, now, to benefit these drivers, every single race in the Northwest Majors season, and they race in different cars at different tracks every single round. Sometimes they're multi-class, sometimes they're single class. Each driver gets 2 quick repairs, so that means that you can hit the wall, bring it down pit road, get your car fixed perfectly and take it back out and race as fast as you were before, but you can only do that twice. Once you get in the wall 3 times, sorry, your race is pretty much over. And sometimes, every now and then, we run into the issue of you can tag the wall, but not realise that you tagged the wall because your car's still handling okay, and then you think you have 2-3 repairs left, but really you only have 1, and of course that can bring up issues. Probably not going to be a big story here though, because if you hit the wall in one of these cars, with some exceptions, you're probably going to have a bit of damage. You're probably going to know, hey, my car's got problems. And Joe, one way to avoid problems though is to take these turns single file. It seems like running around these corners double file isn't the best idea.
Yeah, and that goes back to what Sean said. Through most of the race, you're going to see guys going single file through the corners just because you're going to lose so much time if you're trying to battle it out. And with there being so much time to make up ground if need be, and the cautions bringing everybody back together, guys are generally just going to give way. Now, later in the race, like you said, you can go too wide. And that's where it's really going to get hairy. Guys are going to have to be very aware of who they're racing with, how close they can race with them, and whatnot. And the guys that can trust each other are going to give us some exciting stuff. And the guys that can't trust each other, well, we might have a few cautions.
And one final storyline to watch out for here, Sean, is the fuel window. This could be a fuel strategy race. If anyone was watching the 98th running of the Indianapolis 500 on television earlier, they saw that fuel strategy could have very easily given one of the drivers a win there. We won't elaborate too much on that for people who haven't watched the broadcast, but it looks like a 30 to 35 lap fuel window here, Sean, so drivers are going to have to start thinking about their pit stops probably as soon as the drop of a green flag.
Yeah, exactly, Sam. I think that fuel window is going to open at about lap 28 to 30 here at the start of the race, as we saw today. Guys went in a little bit earlier than expected. So, when those cautions come out, you're probably just going to follow the leader and go on into the pits. If the leaders are pitting, it's probably a good idea to do the same. I don't think much is going to be gained by staying out, especially if you've got any more than 10 to 15 laps on the car. And tires will play into this as well, although the track is not really rough on tires. If you're going to get fuel, you might as well get those 4 fresh Firestones to go on as well.
And as we look at an ambient view of Indianapolis Motor Speedway here in the closing minutes of the qualifying session, you can see 2 minutes 17 seconds left to go and counting down. And you see most of the top drivers have pretty much wrapped up all 4 of their laps. Ryan Worley currently has the fastest time at a 39.942. We won't run through too much of that though, in case anyone else puts on a hot lap. I can tell you for sure right now, Carl Burke in an American paint scheme, who's actually on screen right there, is in the top 10 in qualifying, just crossed the yard of bricks, jumps up to 8th place. And Joe, I guess we should start talking about a couple of names in this field. Ryan Worley, who currently has the pole time here, I believe was the winner here last year.
Yeah, he's going to be one to watch out for. He seems to really like this track, judging by his performance last year and his qualifying effort this year. And it looks like qualifying has mostly wrapped up from what I can tell.
Yeah, well, these drivers will get a pace lap where we'll be able to talk about a couple more storylines. 26 cars have put on a lap. I know we had a few more cars than that in the practice session, so I'm assuming there will be some no-starters. But 8 thousandths of a second separating the top 2 times right now. Ryan Worley ahead of Bud Weisert, Chris Beck, William Fletcher, and Neil Froelich. Names that we're familiar with in this series, Sean, rounding out the top 5.
Yeah, it looks pretty close there at the top. These first 10 cars, it should be a battle to the first turn. Hopefully, patience will rule the day, and everybody will behave themselves as they get into that first turn, so we don't bring out an early caution.
Hopefully, we believe... I can't remember the exact number, but I think we went 11 laps caution-free at the start of the race last year, which, considering a few of these drivers have never raced each other before, perhaps some of them have never done an oval race or an Indy or a race on the Indianapolis circuit, was a pretty handsome number. And actually, the complexity of the race we got last year, the first 50 laps went rather clean. From lap 50 to about lap 150, it got a bit ugly. And then the last 50 laps went clean and we had a good race to the end. Well, we were going to run down the qualifying order here now that qualifying is wrapped up, and you'll begin to see the cars gridding up in just a second. Ryan Worley is the pole sitter, and it will be a double file start, unlike the triple file restarts that we're familiar with at Indianapolis. Bud Weisert will line up alongside him in second. Row 2 will be Chris Beck and William Fletcher. Neil Froelich and Craig Capon will be on the third row, Joe.
Then in 7th, it's Sheila Reiber. 8th is held down by Carl Burke. 9th is Wayne Hutchinson. And 10th is Drew Lalonde.
Steve Paulison is in 11th, Mickey Edmondson is in 12th, Ryan Tomer is in 13th, and Mike Willett, the organizer of the league, is lined up in 14th place. Tim Reiber, the husband of the aforementioned Sheila Reiber, who is starting in 7th position. Tim Reiber will start 15th, and Scott Hutchinson will round out row 8 in 16th place, Sean.
And in 17th, we'll have Kevin Kernodle in the number 69. Next to him, Joshua Gardner. In 19th, Mark Redeker. In 20th, James Jonas III. In 21st, Randy Webster. And in 22nd, Skip Worthington.
Jared Morgan will start 23rd, and then David Freeboth in 24th. Matt Gelder is 25th, and then Adam Strachan is 26th. And he was the last driver to put on the lap. However, I do see Ray Fournier in the number 26 car gridded up in 29th despite not having run a qualifying lap. So I'm going to guess, Joe, he's just trying to stay out of trouble early on here.
Yeah, he might figured might as well just try and put myself towards the back, and I can understand it's going to be very hairy in the middle of that pack, especially with all that draft I was telling you about. There are going to be guys just jockeying for position everywhere. And I think I see someone in front of him even who has lined up. I'm not sure if that's another non-qualifier. That looks like Brian Barnes as well, actually.
Yeah, correct. He was another non-qualifier. Now, Joe, I'm going to ask you again. You were actually at the 98th rounding of the Indianapolis 500 earlier today. Without spoiling the race for people who weren't able to watch it, what were you able to tell by watching the cars compared to past Indianapolis 500s here?
Well, I think really the biggest thing is what I said earlier about the draft. That's just so changed the game in the way that these cars are. But it's also going to be very important for guys to watch out how they can run on their own as well as in traffic. You have to have a car that if you get strung out, you can hold your own, because if they get some green flag racing and the pit cycles get a little mixed up between guys, then you're going to see guys that have to be able to run some fast laps without some help tagging along behind somebody. So it's going to be, a car that's good both in the midst of fighting and by themselves, and that's going to really show who's strong and who's not.
So we got about 28 cars lined up for the start here, 200 laps, 800 corners, obviously no overtime in the IndyCar Series or on iRacing, so whoever crosses the yard of bricks at the end of lap 200 first will win the race, whether it is under green or not. Ryan Worley, last year's winner, on the pole here. Sean, I'm going to give you first pickings. Who's your favourite for this race?
Well, last year's winner was fast, and he put down a great qualifying time. But I don't know. I'm going to give a little nod to Neil Froelich in the number 71, as that's a favorite number of mine.
Yeah, he was up front here last year. Pace car about to peel off. Joe, do you want to make a pick real quick?
I'm going to say Craig Capon, actually. For some reason, I feel like he's going to be strong today.
All right, watch out for that third row then. Well, look at Ryan Worley here, letting the pace car get a big lead so that he can get a jump on the start. Pace car peels off. Ryan can go whenever he wants. And there he goes. He puts the power down. And we are racing here for 200 laps. The Northwest Majors Indianapolis 500 is green. And there's a caution already.
Yes, car at the back, into the wall.
Matt Gelder Matt Gelder, the number 609, and he's got smoke. That's one quick repair already gone for him.
Now, I'm not too surprised by this, because one thing that I noticed was that even our leader got a little bit squirrely when he got on the gas, so I guess guys on cold tires will have to watch out on these restarts.
We're watching the replay here, and that almost looks like a computer issue. He just turned directly left. I don't know. Or maybe he did just get... And that's the worst place to hit the wall. Head on into the pit entry barrier there. But quick caution there. So I guess these drivers are just going to have to grid it up and do it all again.
Well, I think Matt Gelder is really going to have to play it a little bit safe for the rest of the race, because he's going to only have one spare car from here on out for sure. And he's going to be restarting at the very back, which isn't too far back from where he was before. But definitely not a race ender at this point, at least.
I also see front wind damage on the front of Brian Barnes, who didn't qualify. He started at the back. Now, the reason you see the leaders going really slow right now is because you can see the pace car was late out of pit road and making its way through the field now. Now, Brian Barnes is the yellow and blue car there. Let's see if we can try and get a tighter camera angle as we ride on board the rear bin of Adam Strachan in front of him. Now, one thing we're going to have to watch is that pit road will be open for the leaders, and Brian Worley has basically came to the stop out of turn 4, making sure that all the leaders can get to pit road if they so choose. Hopefully none of the cars run into each other while they're all trekking up here. The pace cars coming out of turn 4 should be in front of Ryan Worley very soon, and we'll see if pit road is open this lap or not. Not a whole lot we can talk about as of right now. We've barely seen drivers do a turn in this race, so I guess I'm going to go back to my initial question of who your guys' favourites are for this race. Sean, you said Neil Froelich because of a number. Do you have anything else to back it up? You know Neil personally?
No, I don't know him personally, but I know he was fast in qualifying, and like I said, that number is a personal favorite of mine, as I run that on my own cars, my entire stable of iRacing cars, so I just thought he seemed like a good pick. He's fast, and he's got a great number.
Joe, what made you pick Greg Capon?
Capon, after having watched a few races in this series, he seems like a very strong contender across the board. That's honestly one of the things I love about the Northwest Majors, is that they're doing a variety of different cars over a variety of different tracks, and we're going to see guys who are very flexible, and Capon seems to be one of those. So I wouldn't put it past him to at least be a front runner, if not a possible winner.
And I'm just taking a look at the point standings right here. Let's see how many of the drivers who are in the top 5 are in this race. I only see Mark Rediker and Brian Barnes, and right now they are running in 20th position and 26th. So they're really going to try and play this race out in the long run, I assume, Joe, if they want a shot of getting up there and getting some major points.
Now I'm really curious what's going on with Ryan Worley up here. He's up ahead of the pace car and kind of creeping along. Did he get a unnecessary wave around, or what exactly happened here?
I don't think he did, but I don't know why he ran out, because I haven't seen anything saying he was allowed to wave around or was given a penalty, told to go back behind the pace car. But race control have been talking to him, but never mind, he's back behind the pace car now. And I didn't see anyone come down pit road last lap, so I'm going to assume it's not open yet. So let's see if anyone takes it down pit road. Ryan Worley looks like he will, but I assume it's going to be a fake draw, because why would he want to be giving up all this track position that early?
No, everybody is in fact going into the pit lane, it appears, at least right now. And
Wayne Hutchinson stays out.
Yeah, I was just going to say, there's Wayne deciding to play an alternate strategy. Now, I'm not entirely sure why everybody is employing this so early. It just seems a bit unusual. If I was one of the mid-packers, I might decide to duck in, take some fuel, and put myself in the back just to try and stay away from all the chaos, potentially. But everybody going in just is a bit bizarre.
No one.
You know what I think might happen is I think we might have some drive-through penalties for some sort of weirdness going on with the pace car potentially. I'm not entirely sure. Don't quote me on that.
Well, the thing about iRacing is even if you have a pass-through penalty, you can serve a pit stop during it. Scott Hutchinson, James Jones making pit stops, Skip Worthington, David Friboth. Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna have to keep this one in the memory banks and ask the drivers about it after the race, I suppose.
I did hear a bit of chatter about clearing some black flags over the radio, so could have been it. And they did throw the caution flag to go again, so that's interesting.
Yeah, I think your initial thought might be right here, Joe. Like I say, a lot of black flags are being cleared. Some people are giving, the drivers who stayed out are being given black flags so that they go back to their original position. I have a feeling that you might be right, that the glitch in the system disqualified all the cars for jumping the pace car, I suppose, before the race had officially started because the caution came out. Something along those lines. Basically, iRacing didn't expect the caution to come out before the green flag even flew. So a bit of confusion here, but hopefully in a couple more caution laps we'll have it all sorted and should have them regrouped to go again when they do get going, Sean.
Yeah, let's hope everything shakes out okay and nobody really gets too far behind on this, what appears to be some sort of an error. But we'll be green flag racing here pretty quick, and I'm sure everybody it'll all shake out in the end, and everybody will be happy, or at least we hope so.
Yeah, well, pace lights are off, so that's good news. But we'll see if they put them back on, because it might take them a little while to sort this out. Just to let you know, they're coming around to complete 4 laps of 200. So if we do get going, there will be 196 laps left to go, and caution is back out again. Now, something that pleased me there, Joe, they weren't getting double file as if the pace car was going to come in this lap. I assumed that they were doing double file restarts, but I don't know that for sure. They might be doing them single file.
Well, you know my thoughts on this. I hope it's a single file just because I'm an Indy traditionalist, and me, it's not Indy doing double file restarts. So I'm like you. I'd like to see them go at single file, but we'll see. I mean, it's their league, it's their rules, so if it's double file, it'll just make it a little bit more exciting and interesting.
3 cars being shown as 1 lap down right now. All 28 cars still left in the race. Skip Worthington, David Freeboth, and Matt Hilder are lap down. I should imagine they'll get a wave around or something though, because no one's been in the pits for an excessive amount of time. They should get their lap back, and we should still have a 20 car field ready to go. There goes Brian Barnes in front of everybody, which I don't quite understand because he's on the lead lap. So right now he's going to be shown as... Oh, actually, no, he may have been a lap down, my apologies. So, yeah, there's just a lot of sorting out going on right here. But it looks like Ryan Worley will be our leader when the race gets going again. And hopefully it'll be the Indy 500, but just with the first couple of laps shown out under caution.
Yeah, it looks like several cars have had black flags cleared. I'm seeing here in the race server, it looks like that they're still sorting things out, but I think we'll be back under power here and everything will be good here in just a few minutes.
Hopefully, and well, we're going to take... Well, actually, let's see if the pace lights go off here. And going back to last year's Indy 500, someone we haven't talked about a whole lot today is Ryan Toma, who is currently in 15th place. If I'm not mistaken, he was one of the 3 drivers up there battling for the win with Neil Froelich and Ryan Worley in last year's race, so watch out for him. He's in the middle of the field right now, but I have a feeling he won't be there forever. Now, the pace lights are still off, so we might... Hopefully, we'll see them go in green this time by. And Joe Peak, I believe you got some news for us.
Yeah, I was able to get in and talk to a crew chief or two, and it turns out that iRacing has a bit of a glitch going on because of when the caution was thrown, and it gave Ryan Worley, the leader at that time, told him to just wave on around, but nobody else. So it was going to put him a lap ahead of everybody. And that's obviously no good. So they're trying to get it sorted out manually at this moment and make sure that everybody's in the position they need to be. And then they're going to get back to racing.
Yeah, pace lights are off still as they come up to turn 3, but it looks like there's still a whole lot of misunderstanding going on right now. See what we got here. We got Ryan Worley, Bud Weiser, Chris Beck, William Fletcher, and Neil Froelich are top 5. I believe that those are all correct. But then, of course, you've got 20 cars behind them that I can't really speak for right now. And actually, Adam Strachan is stopped out of turn 4, waiting for the pace car to go by him. I have a feeling that starting the race with the car stopped on the infield down there isn't a great idea, but the pace lights are still off. We only have about 10 seconds till we restart. Here, if it all goes green. We'll see if the pace lights come on or not. Counting down the seconds here. It doesn't look like they're going to go off. It looks like we will restart with Ryan Worley as your leader once again. They're single file this time. And let's hope the wheel spin doesn't become an issue this time. Ryan Worley going to lead the field to the green. He gets a much cleaner start this time. Let's hope the rest of the field can stay the same. No, they can't. Sheila Reba is in the wall. That causes an accordion effect from 9th on back. And the couple cars may get a black flag here from jumping each other. Kevin Canoodle and Mark Rediker tangle. And now it's getting a bit ugly on the front stretch. Car clipping Mark Rediker there. But they're all still heading in the straight line. And now the caution is finally thrown.
It looks like we're checking out that replay. We're currently on lap 6, so hopefully we can get going a little quicker this time.
Yeah, no, that was... Sheila Ryber got a bit of wheel spin and got in the wall, and the cars were trying to check up to not pass each other and not get black flagged. And as the accordion effect played on, a couple more cars pulled into each other, got wheel spin, got on the brakes a bit too hard. A couple of them got in the wall, and eventually the caution was just thrown. But hopefully, we didn't get the caution flag before the yard of bricks this time, so hopefully that means we will finally get a short caution and be back under racing here soon, with Wayne Hutchinson being shown as a leader right now.
Yeah, curiously, by 39 seconds as well. I figured my timing and scoring was on error on that as well. So it seems like iRacing just might be giving us a bit of a hard time tonight, Sam.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take a break and get us all sorted out. Figure we've covered the major storylines here, gotten the names down for you. It still looks like we'll have 20 cars left in the race. Single file restart coming up here in about 4 or 5 laps. No need for these drivers to pit, I should imagine. So hopefully we'll have it all sorted out soon. Lights are off as we look at Chris Beck here in third position. Some black flags have been given, some black flags have been cleared. A couple of cars actually ran into each other while they were catching up with the pace car and were able to use their free repairs and get that fixed. That was Jared Morgan and Mark Rediker, I believe, who ran into each other. But Ryan Worley is the first car behind the pace car, which is how it should be. He started on pole position and hasn't been passed by anyone today. So it looks like we should be going green this time, by Joe.
Yeah, and in fact, Wayne Hutchinson, who was mysteriously up at the front, or not up at the front, but scored his first, was DQ'd, and we're not entirely sure what the reasoning was for that, but we will hope to get some information down the line, Sam, as it looks like they're getting ready to take the restart.
Yeah, he was in front of the field and wasn't letting them by, and maybe they were having radio communication, so they just gave him the black flag. We'll find out more as the day goes on. Ryan Worley, Budweiser, Chris Beck, these drivers have all yet to have a clean start. Ryan Worley pulls it away, but let's watch the back of the field and make sure the accordion effect doesn't come into play. So far it looks like a top 15 at least are okay, and they're 3 wide at the back there with David Freeboss picking up 3 spots in 1.
And actually, Freeboth is quickly dropping, and I'm not sure what happened there, but he just lost a ton of spots down the front stretch.
But finally, it looks like they got the start underway. There's side-by-side racing going on from about 10th to 15th, led by Steve Paulison there, making a move on the outside of Mickey Edmondson. Meanwhile, the top 10 cars are pretty much single file. But down here, certainly they're about 3 wide. Actually, I think Mike Willett, the league organising the yellow car there, just brushed the wall, Sean.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I'm watching the back of the field right now. It looks like everybody... Oh, we got a car.
Instruction. Upside down.
Looks like we've got a caution.
Adam Strachan, he got loose or got turned off of turn 3. We're seeing the end of it there.
It looks like it was Matt Gelder.
Matt Gelder turned him?
That's what it looks like.
There was contact there, and that was a hard hit on the inside. Flipped over 2 times before coming back up on the circuit. And I don't know how many times he's been involved in an incident, because he's been at the back there where all the action is going on. Hopefully it's only 2 times, if that, and he'll be able to get back out on course.
Well, the only nice thing about all this action going early on is, as cruel as it sounds, it's a bit like nature when it comes to racing. When you start to thin the herd and the weakest are gone, then you get a little bit cleaner racing going on as you see the stronger guys come out to the front.
I always say it's like driving on the roads the day after a snowstorm. You know, the only drivers left on there are the ones who survived the snowy roads.
Well, thank goodness they don't have to deal with that, and these cars are I very much would fear to see what a 500-mile race would look like towards the end.
Yeah, well, fortunately that they did get almost about a lap there. We didn't have a caution before the green flag flew, so that should mean that everyone's in order right now. Wayne Hutchinson is 3 laps down, all the rest are within a lap, so I believe Wayne Hutchinson is the only one out of contention. Although, breaking story right here, Garrett Gruchala, who was in practice, so is eligible to start the race, has just joined the race, but he is 11 laps down coming out of pit road right now.
And there's no lucky dogs, so he's going to have an interesting time trying to make up those 11 laps, but more power to him for getting out there at least.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like he's having a bit of connection issues there, as we are watching Ryan Toma, who has made it up to 11th place. Now, I want to try and see where he started, because I always thought of him as a front runner here. He started 13th. He was down to about 16th in the middle of the race, so making a bit of a comeback here. Anyhow, pit road is open, and we have takers in the midfield there.
Yeah, I'm trying to see who exactly all is coming in at this point, and it looks like Mike Willett is one of them, and that yellow car ducking in. Who else have we got? It looks like Scott Hutchinson is decided, and Brian Barnes. So a couple of our back runners, particularly Brian, is coming in just deciding to top up, which I don't blame them under caution.
And I'm having a feeling that Mike Willett is coming in because of damage. To me, it looked like he brushed the wall out coming down the backstretch, so that could be what that's all about.
Ray Fortier and Jared Morgan have also come in, decided to get a bit of something fixed or topped up or something here. And actually, Jared Morgan might have just come completely through, unless he had a pit stall way early on in the pits, but he was a lap down.
If we look at the number 77 car of Adam Strachan, you see your 3 repairs in action. It looks intact right now, but obviously he's used up at least 1 free repair and is currently 2 laps down. But with 186 laps left at the rate this race is going, Sean, he might be able to make that up.
Yeah, I did get some information here on what happened to Wayne Hutchinson. It looks like he was DQ'd for not following admin commands.
And I'm trying to see, is he even on track right now? No, he has been DQ'd for good, I would assume. Meanwhile, I'm taking a look at how many cars have actually came into the pits at this rate. It seems that the top 14 cars have not actually pulled into their pit stall yet. We saw a lot of them doing pass-throughs for black flags. So Joshua Gardiner is the last of the cars that have not pit in 14th. James Jonas is the first of the cars that have pit in 15th. And I've got to wonder, Joe, these drivers, I know they've been running under caution, so they're able to save fuel there. But the drivers who have pit will be able to run a little bit longer when we do get a long green flag run.
Yeah, they'll be on a slightly alternate strategy. Now, we'll have to see what the greens look like later on in the race. Really, it's not going to matter nearly as much, I think, until we start seeing some cautions midway and guys need to figure out, when they need to start pitting in reverse order to get themselves to the end. And especially towards, I would say, maybe the last 80 laps, that's when guys really need to worry about what their strategy looks like, what laps they're pitting on.
Yeah, and one thing I have noticed, the cars that have been involved in incidents, a lot of them have gone a lap down. So, despite the 3 repairs, they are suffering that penalty for wrecking. And, usually you would say, Sean, if you're going to wreck, do it early so you get it over with and you can have a comeback. But really, with this series, if you're going to wreck, you want to do it late so that you know that you still have 1 free repair left and hopefully not a whole lot of the rest of the race.
Well, exactly, and you don't want to waste those repairs in the first several laps of the race, as we've seen several cars, unfortunately, go in early for those repairs. So, like you said, waiting towards the end is certainly better. But we've still got a lot of racing in front of us. We've only completed 15 laps, and looks like the lights are out on the pace car, and we're about ready to get going again here, though.
Yeah, and once again, Ryan Worley will be the leader. He has led 11 out of the 14 laps so far today. Wayne Hutchinson has led 3 because of the glitch. Unless I'm mistaken, Joe, I don't believe you get points for leading laps in this series.
Yes, I don't believe that's a bonus points. So guys are just simply worried about the win here today.
Yeah, and Wayne Hutchinson is out of the race, and Garrett Grutrala is not, but he's 12 laps down, so I would say that makes this about a 27-car race right now. Pace car is about to peel off. Ryan Worley will have control of the field. Hopefully these drivers will leave space in between them and be able to get a clean restart. Ryan Worley already under power. Here they go. Top 5 cars have got away all right. Looks like a top 10, top 15 are all right. They're all getting better at spacing themselves out on these restarts, Joe.
Yeah, and look at Ryan Toma getting a really nice jump on Steve Paulison. Gets himself 1 more spot.
The field make their way through turn 2 already within half a lap, building their ways up to over 220 miles an hour. You really have to be on top of your game to be able to hit your marks around here for 200 laps, Sean.
Yeah, you do, and getting in, you got to get some heat in the tires as well. These turns are very tricky, and without any heat in the tires, you could get loose and find that wall.
Side-by-side battle going on for 17th right there. James Jones, who was the first of the cars who were pit, getting a little bit loose, and into the pits comes Ryan Toma. Don't know what all that's about, and he was speeding entry. He really had to slow that car down. Hopefully he doesn't get a penalty
Oh,
for
we
that.
have a wreck here at the back of the field.
And this could be Mike Willett. No caution. It happened all on pit road, and it's Jarrett Morgan who has actually jumped the pit wall. He is in the infield, actually away from the spectators, but his car went airborne in contact with Mike Willett there, and David Rebath is in the pits, and no cautions. This is going to be really bad for these guys, but watch the green car of Jared Morgan jump the pit wall and flipping over. Thank goodness this is a virtual world and nobody was hurt.
Yeah, unfortunate for him that this isn't the steeplechase. Otherwise, I think he'd be winning right now.
Wow,
Yeah.
and hopefully he can get back in the race. But he'll be a couple of laps down. Back to you, Sean.
Yeah, and Mike Willett was an unfortunate casualty in that, as well as he made contact with the flying car.
Now, here's the interesting thing, jumping back up to the front of the field, if we can check that out, between Bud Weisert and Ryan Worley. Bud's keeping him in check, and they're mostly getting themselves very much separated from third place Neo Froelich. So these guys are kind of running a race of their own already, and we haven't really seen how these guys run on a decent stint yet.
I'm watching a replay because Bud Weisert got very close to the wall in out of turn 1 there, and Joe, you can go flat out around this track if your car's handling alright. If it pushes a little bit or gets loose a little bit, you could be in a lot of trouble.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. These guys are going to want a stable setup. Not just a fast one, but one that they don't have to be fighting it for the whole race, because that's how you wind up losing your free cars throughout the day. Is you want a car that you don't have to think so much about constantly saving it, but just about what's your pace, what's your fuel mileage, what's the cars around you doing.
Now these drivers are navigating a bit of lap traffic, cars that are damaged. Garrett Gruchala is on the apron over in turn 3 with a bit of front wing damage. After that though, you have to go to Mike Willett on the front stretch. It's a nice thing about having such a large track as we ride on board Bud Weisert here in second place. And they're coming around to complete lap 20. We are already a 10th race distance, despite the fact that we haven't had a whole lot of green flag running. This race can fly by, Sean, if it stays under green.
Well, yeah, certainly it can fly by, and hopefully we don't get too many more cautions as the field starts to spread out now. And then we're going to be talking about green flag pit stops here pretty soon, at least within 20 to 25 laps, as we know several guys are off sequence on pit stops already.
Garrett Gruchala has retired from the race. There was a pass for 8th just a second ago. Drew Lalonde, who's actually making a move on 7th right there by William Fletcher. Drew Lalonde in that late 90s Arrows F1 paint scheme, I almost think of it as, the orange and black car right there. Passing William Fletcher and Sheila Ryber, the only female in this field. Within 1 lap, he is now up into 7th position, Joe.
Drew must have found himself a nice setup that really comes into its own once the tires heat up, because you look at his qualifying, he was sitting 10th, and right now he's already up into 7th, and Carl Burke's a little ways up, but it's not out of the question that he could possibly run him down. But something about his car is working a little bit better as the run goes on.
There are some lap cars in the front of the field right now. Adam Strachan, who it looks like he might be coming down pit road. No, he's not. He's been letting a few of the leaders by. And one of the drivers I want to make mention of is Neil Froelich. He started back there on the 3rd row. He is up to 3rd place, and we certainly saw last year that he is a driver that can run up front and challenge for this win.
So I'm watching these two leaders as we look at this battle going on for 9. Oh, and we've got an accident, and it looks like that is William Fletcher.
Caution is out. And fortunately, it is a single car incident and not too much damage to William, but I believe he should be able to get a free repair, get that fixed. As we watch the replay, he was riding on the outside of another vehicle there, just got up in the marbles, got up in the loose stuff, lost control.
And it looks like he had a bit of contact with Josh Gardner on his way back down as well, so I'm not sure if Josh has gotten more damage along the way. I believe Josh already had one repaired, didn't he?
I'm trying to find him on the circuit so I can get a look at his car. Where is he right now? He's navigating his way in that pink car right there through turn 1. I mean, even if he does have damage there, it certainly isn't that much. And in the pink car right there, do not be confused by the fact that Sheila Ryber is in the same shot. The pink car actually belongs to the male of those two drivers. Joshua Gardner showing that pink is the man's colour, and it's certainly working for him right now in the top 10, and I don't think he has a whole lot of damage there, Sean.
Now I'm looking at the car. He looks pretty good. I don't really see anything wrong with it. We'll see if he goes into the pits here, but yeah, car looks straight to me.
Alright, well, there may be a few pit stops here for the leaders, but we'll sum it up for you when we come back. We're going to take a quick break, rest our vocal cords, get ready for rest of this race. 24 laps complete. We'll be at least an eighth of race distance by the time we come back as Ryan Worley leads the field down pit road. Hello and welcome back to Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where we're finishing up another caution right here. Pace lights are off as we look at Tim Rieber riding in 7th. He is the last of the cars that have yet to make a single pit stop during this race, despite the fact that we're 27 laps in. However, that's because most of the race has been under caution. Now let's go back up to the front of the field, where I said Ryan Worley was leading the field down pit road. He did not. He actually stayed out on track. It was a fake, and a lot of the front runners stayed out with him. Ryan Worley, Bud Weiser, Neil Froelich, Sheila Reiber, and Joshua Gardiner are the top 5 for this restart, Joe.
And it looks like James Jonas and Matt Gelder also haven't stopped from the information that we're getting. But I think we're getting ready to come back to the restart here.
We are indeed. Pace car is about to peel off. Once again, Ryan Worley uses a tactic where he hands back a little bit. Now gets on the gas, and a bit of wheel spin by Bud Weiser there, and that could open the door for Neil Froelich to make a move for second, but he didn't take it, Joe.
And this could be critical depending on what Bud's pace is. This is going to reveal a lot. If Bud can close up on the back of Ryan, that means that he was playing patient earlier and he has more pace. And if he can't, this could mean that he has lost an important battle.
Well, he's 1.1 seconds back, so we'll wait to see if that's close enough to be in drafting zone. Sean, it looks like it's been a clean restart throughout the whole field so far.
Yeah, so far so good. I'm here at the back of the field kind of watching some of the cars that are locked down and the guys here at the end of the pack. And right now, so far, like I said, so far so good. Couple cars going side by side into the turn, Craig Capone and Matt Gelder, but everybody's good right now.
Sheila Reiber gets a bad run out of turn 4, gives up 4th position to Joshua Gardiner, who did not pit, despite the fact that we believe he got a piece of the most recent accident, and he's now up into 4th place in that pink car, Joe.
And I was watching David Freebaugh through turns 3 and 4. He had a huge lift and just had a stream of cars just fly by him, so he lost at least 5 positions there.
And right now, another red car I want to pay attention to, a little bit in front of him on track, is Ryan Toman, 20th place. I don't know how, but he is actually a lap down. I thought he would be a contender in this race. I mean, I don't know. Are there lucky dogs in this series?
I heard some chatter over the radio mentioning them when they were talking to some of the admins. I'm not entirely sure. Now, right now, as we watch things go around, Weiser has been holding station behind Ryan, so they might be closely paced at this point, so it might not be a death sentence that he missed that jump start.
And Matt Gelder has retired from the race due to connection issues. That's unfortunate for him. So yeah, Bud Weiser has lost 0.2 of a second since the restart. Meanwhile, though, there's Battle for Second going on about 2 seconds in front of a Battle for 5th, which has about half a second on the Battle for 6th, which was Steve Paulison and Tim Reiber, who actually gets a bad X out of turn 4 and drops back a little bit there, Sean.
Great move by Ryan Toma to get around Kevin Kernodle there as he tries to get, as well, he's up into 20th place now. Great move by him to the inside going into the turn, heading down the back stretch.
Meanwhile, look at that Hornet's nest behind them. That's Mike Willett and Scott Hutchinson riding side by side right there. Hutchinson gets a position. This is a battle for... Actually, no, it's not. Mike Willett is a lap down. So, yeah, he should be staying out the way of these drivers right now. Skip Worthington in the blue car going by him there. And the field strings out single file a bit. Now, I've got to begin wondering, when are these leaders going to have to pit?
That's the million-dollar question, but it's still early days. We're only 30 laps in, so they still have time to let things play out. And I have to imagine these guys, unless we say, oh, and there was a car in the wall. That's Adam Strachan.
Out of turn 2, he's looped it around, was 9 laps down to begin with, and I think he's 2 repairs for London. He just got tight in turn 1 and grazed the wall, and not a very dramatic incident, but it does bring out the caution on the speedway.
He certainly took a good thwack into it, though, from what I'm watching on my replay. So I have to agree. I think Adam's day is pretty well done at this point. There's no reason for him to try and limp that car around.
And there we go, right in the wall. Oh, and it went up on 2 wheels too. Now, obviously, this is going to be good news for Bud Weiser and Neil Froelich, or actually, it could be bad news for them, because I think at this point they might have to start considering a pit stop, and if they do, James Jonas third is still the first driver on course who has made the pit stop, so he could be your new leader. And what is that paint scheme on that car? That almost... No, it's just a blue and red paint scheme. From this camera being out this wide, it almost looks like the old Jordan F1 paint scheme, but it most certainly isn't that. It's red, white and blue. Maybe a little bit of a patriotic paint scheme there for Memorial Day weekend here. Although I... Oh,
Actually, that would be the Royal Crown Cola car, RC Cola. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you have to go about 2 more back Carlberg to get your American paint scheme of the race. The number 53 car.
So obviously, James seems to fancy the old Marco Andretti colors there. But now, yeah, this is going to be a little bit more curious times, because normally if it was green racing, we'd see some guys having to finally make their pits, but they've probably saved a lot of fuel by this point, Sam, being 33 laps in with a lot of caution. So I'm curious to see what guys like Ryan, and actually both of them have hopped into the pits.
Yeah, they're bringing all the leaders into the pits. Now, obviously, one thing that will be interesting is seeing if Budweiser can leapfrog Wally in the pits, and if so, is Wally able to get around him quickly? And, will Budweiser be able to pull away? But first of all, he's got to beat him out of pit road. They pull into pit stalls right next to each other. Neither of them overshoot it. Let's see which one drops off the track stands first. It looks like... Oh, Weiser begins rolling first. It's side by side coming out of pit road, and I think Weiser might have it. No, he backs off and lets Wally go in front. But that's as close as you're going to get a race off pit road.
Oof, blink and you would have missed it. So those guys were extremely close in that to the line finish there for trying to get off first. I'm curious as to why Ryan's was just slightly longer, although sometimes iRacing's virtual pit crews can have a bit of variance in their fueling time, so that could explain it. I'm not sure if the tires were taking longer, if the fuel was taking longer between them. I suspect the fuel. But regardless, Ryan is able to keep his lead. And now maybe Bud can hold on once again. Now I'm wondering, Sean, if whether or not the fuel strategy can come into play with these guys down the line if they get a long green run and someone just holds back in the draft of somebody, and maybe because the draft is so powerful, you could lift. I would imagine a smart guy could possibly start saving fuel behind whoever he's chasing.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Exactly. Saving fuel starts to come into play there. You can save yourself 4 or 5 laps in that pit window if you just lay back, let the game come to you, and stay in the draft and absolutely lift. These cars, stick pretty well, and lifting shouldn't really be an issue. And again, there should be an opportunity to save several laps for a pit stop.
Well, when we go back under green here, the way I'm seeing it right now, Stephen Paulison will be in the lead. He is the only driver yet to make a stop. I don't know how much longer he could go, but he certainly is committed. He's staying out there right now in that old Helio Castroneves looking paint scheme. But one driver that I'm sure is going to make his way back up to the front row is Ryan Worley, who has led most of this race so far. And, Ryan has a bit of a backstory, a couple of physical disabilities that may impede him, but it certainly doesn't seem to harm his racing.
Absolutely not. And I've raced against Ryan in the past as well, personally, and he is a very talented driver. And that's just without, whatever disabilities you might consider. So this guy doesn't let anything stop him. He's basically got, he's racing with essentially one hand and one foot, according to what his body is allowing him. He's got a special controller or wheel, and lets him race and use iRacing. And as you can tell from how many laps that he's led, it doesn't matter what he's got on him. He's just got the talent and got the ability to get this car up in the front, especially here at Indianapolis, because he was last year's winner and he looks on course to try and repeat. So I wouldn't put anything against this guy at this point.
Talking about last year's winner, let's also give a shout out to last year's runner-up. Sean pointed it out during the run. Ryan Toma is actually being given a wave around the pace car right now for running well. while he's been running the lap down and may soon be back in contention of this race. But yeah, elaborating on Ryan Worley there, is that in real life, a Corvette Stingray, a specially designed Corvette Stingray, was designed for the owner of Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports, Sam Schmidt, who is a quadriplegic after an incident at Walt Disney World Speedway back at the start of the 21st century. That means he doesn't have full control of his legs or his arms, and they built a specialized Corvette Stingray to allow him to go up to speeds of 100 miles an hour around the circuit. So yeah, certainly, no matter what kinds of difficulties you run into in life, you can always come back and race. Pace car's off. We're going to go back and race right now. Steve Paulison is the leader. Green flag is out. He gets a late start, and there might be a bit of an accordion. In fact, back in the middle of the field. In fact, David Freeboff falling right back through the middle of the field there.
And Carl Burke had to back off so that he didn't get a black flag on passing before the line ahead of the leader, as now they go by the lapped car of Matt Gelder. But it didn't look like he lost too much, as he's still right on the back of Steve Paulison. But what you were mentioning earlier, I think it's only a matter of time before Ryan Worley works his way past these guys, because track position isn't as important around here in this DW12.
And I've also got to wonder how long it'll be before Steve Paulison has to come into the pits, as Carl Burke is going to be hounding him for that lead position, and he can't save fuel and stay in the lead at the same time. I don't quite know how long Paulison plans on going, but who knows? Maybe he'll end up having the best strategy and end up winning this race. Certainly, he wasn't leading the race at the before all these cautions came out, so why not try a bit of strategy?
And look at Ryan Worley already working on Mickey Edmondson for that third place spot, and he's going to do it right now down the back stretch, and good timing because the caution is out.
Upside down, Jared Morgan. That's the second time he's had a major incident today, and that ends his race. What happened here? He gets loose in turn one, hard smack into the wall. His car already upside down. Over 2, 3, and now it begins barrel rolling between turns 1 and 2. Jared Morgan has not had a great day in that number 095 car, and I think that pretty much will end it.
Yep, and it looks like, I believe we got some cars in the pits, or at least we should next time around. No, we don't have them in yet, except for David Freeboth, and I think he was in there before.
Yeah, he's 3 laps down. He just did not get going on the restart there, Joe. He was actually restarting at the front of the field. I guess that's the way he just fell into place. And the rest of the field did a good job of avoiding him. So I'm going to assume there was a bit of something ill handling on that race car. I should imagine the only driver we're going to see in the pits, if any at all, during this caution is Steve Paulison. So I don't think we're going to see a huge shake-up in the order. But yeah, Ryan Worley's going to be restarting there in third. He's certainly not out of this yet.
Now, Steve will be a little bit longer along on his on his fuel strategy, rather, so he won't have to fill up as much if he continues on down this way and just keeps everything stays green. But that's a big if in this race, I think. We'll have to see if he goes in this time. It looks like he's going to head in. Yeah, right now he's aiming for the pits, and just behind him, Carl Burke is not, though. So Carl Burke is going to continue to stay out. Now, Sam, when we talk about pit strategy and guys deciding to stay out or not, those wondering, like, why would you want to come in and sacrifice your position, especially guys not used to oval racing, these yellows really bring guys back together. And you can see already, just in second, Ryan Worley, he's already done his stop, and he's in second anyways, while Carl Burke has not stopped yet. So Carl Burke really doesn't gain anything, especially if he has to go and pit under green.
Yes, and yeah, no, I mean, I can only imagine the strategy being played out here by these drivers who are trying not to pit as much as possible. Is that perhaps if there's a bunch of cautions, they'll all end up on the same strategy in the end anyhow, being able to go as long as possible, because there's 6 gears on these Indy cars, and if you get them up in a high numbered gear and run it real slow, press the clutch in, you really do not burn a heck of a lot of fuel on these caution laps. And you know, there's going to be a variety of strategies here, and really I think Ryan Worley has one of the fastest cars here today. And if you don't think that you can beat him on track, you've got, like I say, you've just got to try and beat him on strategy. And the best way to do that, I think, is right now stay out as long as possible. But still early days. We're not even at lap 40 yet, which will be a 5th race distance. So still a long way to go, Sean.
Yes, there is. And one of the cars I've been watching here early on has been a number 91 of Scott Hutchinson. He's doing something that I don't like, and that is he's flirting with that with that apron, and doesn't seem to really have a handle on his setup, I think. And he keeps flirting with that apron. We may have more trouble. Another caution flag here pretty soon. He needs to try and probably move up the track a little bit, because that apron is killer here at Indianapolis.
Randy Webster being waved around the pace car. Back to you, Joe.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I would touch the rumble strip there on the inside that was added when NASCAR came along. And you can kind of get away with it in the DW12, but like you said, it's really flirting with danger there. So Scott's really got to watch out on that. And we've got a bunch of cars in. It looks like Mike Ouellette was one of them. And then we've got Kevin Kernodle and Matt Gelder, it looks like.
I think what just happened there, Joe, is that pit road just opened to the cars that weren't on the lead lap. Matt Gelder is 8 laps down. Kevin Kernodle is 1 lap down. Mike Ouellette is 1 lap down. So Kernodle and Mike Ouellette can certainly get both back in it. David Freeboth 3 laps down. Well, things will have to play out his way. Meanwhile, something pleased to report, the pace lights are off on the pace cars, so we might be able to get restarting here. And we are beginning to see bigger signs of longer green flag runs. We've gone from about having 10 feet of green flag racing to about 3 laps now. So, you know, slowly they're working their way up, Sean, as the attrition role begins to play, and these drivers have to deal with less other cars on the circuit.
Well, as they say in the country, the herd is starting to thin out, and you're exactly right. You know, we're starting to see some guys fall out and fall way behind, and the cream is starting to rise to the top. So maybe we get a nice longer run, and we can actually start talking about fuel strategy as opposed to yellow flags.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, that was a bit of a surprise. Most of the race has gone under caution, and everyone still made a pit stop by lap 40 when we were thinking that fuel window was lap 30. So only a 10-lap difference. You know, something that we're going to have to keep an eye on basically until lap 160. We may see cars coming down pit road. If the attrition rate continues, they may be able to make it to the end then, but we'll wait and see. Carl Burke will restart in the lead, and we'll wait and see if Ryan Worley can dispose of him quickly, because we know he's certainly had the race leading car today, the race winning car last season, so we'll wait to see how he can manage the field in traffic here in the DW12. Already looking on the outside of Carl Burke as the race goes green here. Can't pass him before the yard of bricks, but now he's full on the gas and he's going to try on the outside, and Carl Burke pretty much gave him a position there, Joe.
Yeah, he looked very hesitant. That was very bizarre. And we've got a huge checkup as Chris Beck and Neil Froelich and Bud Weisert all had to avoid trying to get into each other in turn 1. Thankfully, there was no problems there. Boy, Bud Weisert still sitting in back in 6th, though. Ryan Worley has worked his way through the field very quickly. This is interesting. I'm wondering if Bud's car just isn't as good in traffic.
Well, also, he's got some competition around him as Neil Froelich goes down the inside of Chris Beck there through turn 4. Neil Froelich is certainly a fast driver, but we know Bud Weisert is as well. Meanwhile, Ryan Worley has a 1.2 second lead already over Carl Burke.
Yeah, Bud did good to just follow him on through. He knew that he had the momentum, and I saw that a lot in the real-world race earlier today as well. Guys saw that someone was disadvantaged, they lost their momentum because they had to lift, and all they had to do was get right up on them, and they can get one more spot. So, you'll see possibly some guys just looking for some battles up ahead of him and trying to take advantage, but that can be a problem if you're that car that's getting passed. If you're not paying attention and that second guy is coming through, then you could accidentally take each other out.
Guys, we had a spin. We had a car go off into the inside wall and flip around. I'm trying to figure out who it was here real quick. I'm looking now at the replay.
I can tell you Adam Stroheim was involved in another incident, so I think that'll pretty much end up his day, but I think you're referring to a different incident there, Sean.
No, that was Adam. That was Adam, unfortunately, yeah, and he hit the inside wall and did several barrel rolls. I think, well, he was already 12 laps down, so things weren't going well for him to begin with, but it doesn't look like it's brought out the caution flag, so we're still under power here.
Meanwhile, Carl Burke was actually able to claw about a tenth of a second back there on Ryan Worley last time by, and Ryan crosses the yard of bricks this time, runs a 40.7, Carl runs a 40.8, so Ryan actually pulls away from him a bit. Meanwhile, I believe you picked him as your favourite for the race, Joe. Craig Capon just ran a 40.6, was the fastest car on the track last time by.
Well, you were gloating, so I don't have to. So, yeah, I was noting that Craig has worked his way up into third. So, obviously, he's coming to the fore at this point. Got Bud Weisert behind him at the moment, and Bud looks like he is actually closing at a very fast rate. So, Bud is finally making up that time that he wasn't able to make up before, and it looks like he's going to go for a pass down the front stretch.
Here he goes, battle for third place here, and Craig Capon backs off and gives him the position. Very wise there, though Craig Capon drifts up near the wall, but is experienced enough to know where that cushion, where that limit is. Meanwhile, Ryan Worley able to pull out a few tenths again, now a 1.5 second lead over Carl Burke, Sean.
Yeah, and Steve Paulison and Ryan Toma have a nice battle going on. Toma to the inside, going down the back stretch, heading to turn 3. Looks like he has it. He's going into the turn. And yeah, Toma able to pull it off. Nice move. Nice move. The car is... And another car coming into the picture. It looks like Scott Hutchinson right behind him. As they... yeah, nice 3-car battle going on right here. Back to you.
Yeah, 20 cars left on the lead lap. This is a battle for about 14th position. Steve Paulison with Scott Hutchinson behind him, but doesn't look like there's going to be any moves there. The car you just saw on the pit road there was Randy Webster, a lap down already.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, but it looks like we've got a battle going on for second place as Carl Burke is possibly going to lose out to Bud Weisert here soon.
Bud Weisert, who was running second earlier, he restarted 6th place on the latest restart, able to get a good drive down the hill off of turn 4 to the inside line, and I'm pretty sure Carl Burke will give him a position, or will he though, because if he loses too much time, Craig Capon could be on him for third.
In fact, Craig is already closing up as they head down the short chute into 2, and he has to back off. In fact, he has a huge backwash, and now he's under threat from Neil Froelich.
Guys, yeah. back to Ryan Toma. He's running hard, running fast. Sheila Reiber is in his sights as he's getting about a second a lap, almost a second a lap, closing on her fast, going into turn 2.
I've been very impressed. We keep bringing up different names of drivers on the lead lap here, and they're drivers that we haven't mentioned so far this race because they're drivers that haven't been involved in a whole lot of incidents so far this race. So we do have about a 20-car field that have clean cars with 2-3 repairs left, so we should be in for a very interesting last 150 laps, Joe.
Now remember, Ryan Toma was the second place finisher last year, and even though he didn't qualify so well, after he made that lap back up, he's just been slicing through the field. So this guy's driving like a man possessed and looking to make up some time. Hopefully, though, that red mist doesn't cause his judgment to blur a little bit.
Well, Sheila Reiber is the next car in front of him. Sheila ran a 40.7 last time by. Ryan Toma ran a 40.8, but that was a little bit distorted because he was trying to get by cars. Meanwhile, actually, Sheila's last lap was her fastest lap of the race, and she crosses the line and runs a 41.4 that time by, a pretty slow lap. Ryan Toma actually able to claw out 8 tenths of 40.6, so yeah, Toma's coming.
Yeah, he's on rails, man. He's hooked up. I don't know what he's done between during the caution flag, but that car is hooked up and making a strong charge up to the field.
Meanwhile, we're riding on board Craig Capon, who is running in 4th position. The battle for 2nd in front of him with Budweiser and Carl Berg as they go by the league organiser, the lap car of Mike Willett, who comes back down in line in front of Craig Capon, but goes high, lets Craig Capon by. So top 4 still single file and getting themselves sorted out right now. Actually, the lap car split up, Bud and Carl.
Oh, Sheila Ryber off the wall. Sheila Ryber off the wall.
Ooh, that is a big crash there.
And it has pulled out a caution as Craig Capon got 3rd place. Good news for Sheila, that was her first accident of the race.
Once again, though, it's just like I predicted earlier. It was in turn 1. How many cars have we seen bounce off that outside wall at this point?
Here we go on the replay. Obviously, Sheila's probably trying to run a bit faster than normal. Doesn't want to give up a position to Ryan Toma. And Ryan Toma did a marvellous job missing her.
Yes, he did. That was really close. He really got through that unscathed and very lucky.
Riding on board with Sheila here. It's a hard hit. See if we can get a... Oh, here we are. Our director's going to get a replay of what the wreck looked like on board Ryan Toma. So first of all, he's backing off, obviously. He sees the problem. Now he's got to pick a way to go. He goes on the inside initially, then up high. Then he's got to try and avoid the wall. Very nice driving there by Toma. Meanwhile, I said Sheila Ryber should get a quick repair, but I'm beginning to doubt that because she is still in her pit still with a lot of damage on that number 48 car, Sean.
Yeah, she is. That if it's a quick repair, it's not very quick because she is just sitting there right now, dead in the water.
I'm wondering if this is a good time to take a break. We'll wait and see if any of the leaders come down pit road. Ryan Worley and Budweiser leading again with 50 laps into this race. They pitted around lap 35. You see the 4th place car, the 3rd place car of Craig Capon and Carl Burke coming down into the pit road. And they are committed.
Weisert made a late dive into the pits.
Yes, he did. So, driver's going to try a new strategy to outpace Ryan Worley.
Yeah, Neil Froelich stays out, and the number 71 going to go to 2nd place.
Mike Willett is first lap car in line, 2 laps down, so I don't know if he'll get a wave around or if it will go to Kevin Canodal, who is the first car off the lead lap. Budweiser leads the field off of the pits with Craig Capon behind him, Chris Beck, and yep, looks pretty much orderly back there, so we'll have to wait and see how the strategy plays out. Certainly they're going to lose a bit of track position with about 17 cars left on the lead lap, and Sheila Ryber still in her pit stall, so I have a feeling that might be one car that is no longer in contention on the lead lap. Alright, well, we're going to go to break while the pace car paces the field. Ryan Worley and Neil Froelich and Joshua Gardiner will lead the field to the restart when we come back. Ryan Worley leading the field here after several cars came down pit road, including Budweiser, Craig Capon, Chris Beck, Drew Lalonde, Carl Burke are all at the back of the field now. Top 5 is Ryan Worley, Neil Froelich, Joshua Gardiner, Tim Reiber, and James Jonas III, who we saw playing an interesting strategy early in the race. And Sheila Reiber is back on circuit in a fully repaired car, but she'll be at the back of the field. So, we know how Ryan Worley likes to start these races. He lets the pace car pull away a little bit and then starts the field of his own accord. But I'm wondering, Joe, if these drivers are going to be getting a little bit overconfident now, thinking, hey, we've had a few good restarts, we can start racing on the restarts again.
It's possible. I will say that Ryan's proving himself just slightly more experienced as the pace car's about to dip off now, because the other people who've restarted in the lead have not shown this restraint to be able to get that gap.
Yeah, just look at him pull away from Neil Froelich, who we know is no slouch around here. Checking the back of the field, make sure everyone gets a clean start. It looks like it is clean throughout most of the field, and Ryan Worley is just driving away from the rest of the pack right now.
Now here's something interesting. We thought Josh Gardner was out of this thing for a moment, but he's got himself back up into third after all of his problems.
Yes, he has. You have to go back to about 15th place to get any side-by-side battles right now. But yeah, Josh Gardner's doing well then third. Tim Reiber, we haven't talked about him a whole lot. James Jones has been running in the middle of it. Oh, and James Jones gets a piece of a wall coming out of turn 3. It looks like his car still oh no, he gets in the wall again out of turn 4. And if he can keep it straight, we might be free. We might not go under caution. He's got to have that wheel cranked to the right now and just hope that the field goes by him. Caution comes out as he stops on the track.
Bad end for James Jones there. And you're right, it must have been just a glancing blow, because I didn't hardly even notice it until you said something. And then as soon as he had that second hit out of 4, it definitely was curtains for him.
Yeah, well, I think what happened is a glancing blow affected the camber on that car, and then he just didn't expect the understeer in turn 4, and consequently slid up into the wall. I think he might still be able to get a free repair and get back out there, though, Sean.
Yeah, I think so. He's sitting in the pit lane right now, and I'm showing he's just gone a lap down. But there may still be a good race left for him here.
Meanwhile, I said Sheila Reiber was back in the race. She's actually 2 laps down, so I don't know if it depends on where you crash. If towing time is greater, if you crash on the back stretch as opposed to crash on the front stretch. If that's the case, obviously it will be good news for the driver who just brought out our latest caution, James Jonas III, because he was parked right across from pit road, Joe.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure if it matters whether you're past that pit entry or if it's at the line or what it is. All I know is that if you have the power, you do want to drive your car back to your pit stall, because generally it tends to be slightly faster. I know one year when I ran the iRacing Indy 500, very early on, like within the first 10 laps, I had hit the wall and I got one free repair. I drove it back around, managed to stay on the lead lap and drive the rest of the race. So it's not unheard of for that sort of thing to be able to come back and keep in it, as we've seen today. Now, the thing that I find interesting, Sean, is that Ryan Worley, who's just now finally heading in, is finally on a divergent strategy from Bud Weisert, who has pitted a few laps earlier.
Yeah, kind of curious what's going on there. They seem to be working together in the early stages here, but Ryan has just pulled out of the pit and is back at the front of the field. But yeah, that is interesting that he decided to pull off when he did. Maybe they're not working together, and that was just a coincidence of what we were seeing early on.
And we understand that there's a football-related chat going on our YouTube live stream. I don't know what kind of football Kevin's referring to, though. I'm assuming it's American football, because we all know England's going to win the World Cup. Joe, you were about to say something.
Yeah, actually, Ryan Worley has stayed out. I don't know if we mentioned that. I guess he did a fake because it looked like he was going to head into the pits, but he is still behind the pace car and has yet to take his second stop.
Yeah, Ryan Worley, Neil Froelich, Joshua Gardiner, Tim Ryber sitting in the top 5 spots. Actually, Steve Paulison in 5th have only made 1 stop. So there's evidence right there that making less amount of pit stops can get you up front. Now, will that strategy work at by lap 200? If this race was 57 laps long, it would certainly be working. But that's not the case. Meanwhile, James Jonas III, trying to find out if he is still on circuit or not. He is, so I think he's only lost 1 lap. William Fletcher was our wave around that time by, which puts 18 cars left on the lead lap. James Jonas III racing 20th, the last car 1 lap down.
And you know, Kevin Kernodle, who was having trouble early on, is back on the lead lap and in 16th place. It looks like he's got a race left in him.
Yeah, very well might do. I'm trying to check here. David Freeboss is in 24th, 3 laps down. Pretty much everyone after that is out of a race. Matt Gelder, Jared Morgan, Adam Strachan, Wayne Hutchinson, and Garrett Gucciala. And we're coming up to about lap 60 where this race is going to restart. And I'm very curious as to why Ryan Worley's letting the pace car run away from him already. I don't really see the point of doing that. Maybe he just feels like doing that. I didn't know if he was going to play a pit strategy or something. But it looks like pit stops are pretty much done here. And hopefully the lights will go off as they come to complete lap 57. And at lap 58 we should get the green flag again. Here comes the pace car across the infamous yard of bricks, and the lights are off.
Well, since we are about quarter of the way into the race, actually just past quarter of the way in the race, why don't we go through the field real quick, just to give our viewers a sense of where everybody's sitting. Right now, Ryan Worley is sitting on the top of the timing sheets with Neil Froelich close behind in 2nd. Joshua Gardner is in 3rd. Tim Reber is in 4th. Stephen Paulison is 5th, Bud Weiser 6th, Mickey Edmondson is in 7th, then Craig J. Capon, my pit, is in 8th, Chris Beck is sitting 9th, and Sam Drew Lalonde is sitting 10th.
Carl Burke is in 11th, Brian Barnes is in 12th, Mark Redeker in 13th, Ryan Toma has made it back up to 14th, Dip Worthington rounds out the top 15, Kevin Kernodle, aforementioned, is in 16th, Ray Fournier 17th, William Fletcher rounds out the cars on the lead lap in 18th, and Scott Hutchinson and James Jonas III are 1 lap down in 19th and 20th. Actually, flip back, James Jonas III is in 19th, Brian. I'm sorry, Sean.
Yeah, and then 21st, Sheila Reiber is still in the race, 2 laps down. 21st, Mike Willett is in 22nd. Randy Webster in 23rd. David Freeboff in 24th. Matt Gelder in 25th. And Jared Morgan shown in 26th. And I believe those people are actually out of the race at this point.
And I made a mistake. Matt Gelder is actually still in the race. He's 11 laps down, so we're probably going to try and pick off the cars that aren't able to make it to finish and score points. One thing we've neglected to mention about this championship, it is a 12-week series, and only your top 8 results count. So that's why you see some of the points leaders not here during this race. Pace car about to come off. My pick for the win, Ryan Worley, is going to lead them away with Neil Froelich, who got a bad restart last time. Let's see if he can do a better one this time. Pace car is off. Ryan Worley waiting, and now he goes, and look at the lead he's already built up as the top 5 actually got a bit close there. No accordion effect though. Looks like a clean start, at least up front, Joe.
Yeah, Neil Froelich and Josh Gardner got a decent start, but just not enough of one to be right on top of Worley at this point to try and hold on to him. Tim Reber also kind of doing the same, with Steve Paulison actually having Budweiser all over him. In fact, he goes wide, and Budweiser, before the lap is even over, has got the position.
So that will move Budweiser up into the top 5 as he tries to make his way back up front. Meanwhile, Craig Capon just made a move on Mickey Edmondson for 7th. Very cleanly done. Still early stages here at Indianapolis, so, you know, no reason if there's a car on the inside of you to fight that position too hard. We got a whole train of cars from 15th on back being led by Skip Worthington. And we got a challenge for
and it looks like
front.
Skip Worthington's into the wall.
No caution.
And he's going to be able to just wheel that thing into the pits, it looks like, thankfully for him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
here we
we-
go. Here's the replay. Very hard knock into the inside wall, Sean.
Yeah, it was, and his car is heavily damaged. Wing is gone. He's crawling into the pits right now. Looks like, yeah, things not good for him.
Meanwhile, we got a battle for the lead. Neil Froelich and there's a caution.
Well, we were about to get some excitement for Ryan to see how he handles some of this pressure.
Oh no, it's Tim Ryby was running in fourth.
Oh,
Parked out there, out the outside of turn 4. And like you say, Joe, I think he's thinking, hey, I'd rather take this car to pit road than get the tow. He's driving it to pits right now because he's only got a couple 100 yards to go. Brush the wall out of turn 3, much like the caution we saw before. Actually goes upside down in turn 4. And fortunately, a single car incident should get a free repair. And stays out on the track. So I guess the car is handling okay.
I wish our viewers could hear some of what we were hearing because we had some nice little additions from our director that was making it very entertaining to watch the replay.
Man,
Yeah.
I can't believe Tim Riper's doing 130 miles an hour right now through the turn, and it looks like it's handling all right.
Not quite sure what happened with Tim there. It looked like he was all by himself, and the car just pushed right up into the wall.
Well, I think that's just the nature of Indy. If you want to be up at the front like Tim was able to get himself to, you got to find that limit like Sam was mentioning earlier and ride right up next to it. Oh, he's up into the wall right now.
Into the wall under caution too. Maybe 130 miles an hour was too fast. But obviously he won't get black flagged if he comes into the pits when pit road is open, so that's what he's aiming for. Talking about coming into the pits when pit road is open, look at Ryan Worley right here.
Is he actually going in this time? That's the big question. Yes, he is actually going in this time. But I was going to say, when you're close to that limit, it's very, I mean, the smallest of mistakes and the smallest lapse in concentration can lead to those little brushes that obviously lead to much bigger accidents. So it's not too unusual to see even better drivers make those sorts of mistakes in the pursuit of trying to get to that W.
Yeah, and let's talk about Ryan Worley a little bit again here. He actually meant to pit under the last caution, so this is a mistake on strategy here. He just wasn't aware that pit road was open. Now I've got to wonder, Joe, when he gets out right here, that's 15th place William Fletcher who just went by him. Will he be able to rejoin in 16th, or does he have to drop to the back?
It looks like he's actually going to slot in just behind Fletcher, it looks like. Oh, no, he's letting some more cars go, it looks like. So I guess he's going to have to slot into the back. So, yes, he will be down in the middle of the pack for now. But like we said, I mean, the fuel strategy is not going to matter quite so much until we get down to the last maybe 60 laps or so. And then you have to really be considering how much green flag racing we've got and what your fuel consumption has been looking like. And that's when it's going to become obvious who our contenders are.
Yeah, unfortunately for our NASCAR fans, this caution taking place during the last 2 laps of the Coca-Cola 600 to finish up the greatest day of racing. We won't tell you the winners in case you're DVRing it. But one thing I want to pay attention to on the restart here is what kind of restart does Neil Froelich do? Because we see Ryan Worley being one of the very early goers, Sean, who gets the jump on the other cars. Is Neil like that, or will he be a late restarter and maybe not as good at it, and the field bunch up on him? You know, doesn't make a huge difference now 62 laps in, but if Neil Froelich or Ryan Worley is leading at the restart with 2 to go, it could play a huge difference.
Yeah, well, I guess, we're about to find out here exactly what kind of starter Neil is, and I am interested to see what he decides to do. I think it plays to his advantage to get out in clean air as quickly as possible, get a nice jump on the start, and stay away from the trouble, and put some distance between him and the rest of the field. We know he's fast, and we know he can, get around this track with very little trouble. Clean air suits him well.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see some hands being played, such as Neil. He's the first guy we've seen who can really challenge, who's been leading most of the laps. So with that being Ryan Worley. So, I mean, Neil could be someone to watch out down the line because guys like Bud Weiser weren't really making ground. And right now, Bud's sitting in third. So if Neil starts to pull away from these guys, then maybe he's the one that's could be challenging for that win come the end of the 500.
Very much so, and pace car is working its way through turn 3 now, I believe this is. And we should be getting a restart here, and we'll find out very soon. Also, what will be curious is, will Joshua Gardner be on the rear wing of Neil Froelich after this restart, and will he be able to make a move on him? Will he take a move on him if it gets open? Budweiser's sitting there in third. We know he can run up front. Could he be the one who gets to lead as they're coming out of turn 2? I'm very much mistaken. And, you know, there's plenty of stories left to play out and over half a race to find out the answers to them, Sean.
True. And now that we find our former leader, Ryan Worley, at the back of the lead lap here in 18th place, we do wonder what's going to play out here. Ryan's got some traffic to get through, and some of these cars in front of him have had a little trouble with the handle on the car. So hopefully he can get through clean and get back into the, towards the front. But again, we have different pit strategies going on, so he may have made the good move. Only time will tell.
A shout out to Tim Reiber, who was able to get that car fully repaired and stay on the lead lap, thanks to him being persistent about taking that back car around the circuit and coming down pit road when pit road was open. Alright, pace car's off. When's Froelich gonna go? Let's see, he's waiting. He goes now, and he's able to get a little bit of a jump on Gardner. Not a huge jump, but a jump.
Oh, we've got to spin. We've got to spin back here, guys. Oh, just
two cars.
And Ryan Worley was caught right up in the middle of it. Oh, what a shame.
Wow, and we saw Worley able to run through the field last year when that happened. Wow, about 4 cars there, nothing Worley could do. He was kind of just blocked, couldn't get anywhere through the field, Sean.
No, he had nowhere to go. He was right in the middle of it. Real shame. That was really tragic.
Yeah, you see, he kind of went to the left there, and then just nothing he could do. Let's see, who else was involved in that? James Jonas, Randy Webster, Skip Worthington, and Tim Reber flipped upside down after I was just talking about how good he'd done at getting that car repaired.
And this really illustrates some of the dangers that you can get with restarting in the middle of that pack, which I mentioned earlier. You get some chaos like this, and I'm just now getting to see that on board and how little time you have to react, which is why I say sometimes you just want to be at the back where you can hang back a little bit and give yourself a little space before guys spread out.
Yeah, and Tim Reber just kind of got into the back of Ray Fournier in the 26th, and that really just started the chaos right there.
And that was Tim Reber that you were riding on board, went upside down. Not quite sure. This was Fournier, I'm getting news. This is on the gearbox of Fournier. Watch Reber run into the back of him. That's where it kind of started, the accordion effect. And then Reber goes upside down, Worley gets caught up in it. Yeah, just a lot of carnage.
You know, and this is the downside. Remember, I said I love that there's so many different varieties of styles of racing and cars and tracks in this series. You get guys who aren't as experienced in the series, which require a bit of experience to be able to avoid some mistakes like that that can really ruin some people's days. And well, hopefully we'll see a little bit more thinning of the herd, like we mentioned before, that'll kind of get rid of a few of those rookie mistakes.
Yeah, and
well, Ryan Worley's
sorry.
going a lap down. Back to you, Sean.
I was just going to say, Ray Fournier had to check. Ray Fournier had to check up, and that just instant of a checkup caused the whole thing.
Now, we can't be all doom and gloom on, on Ryan Worley quite yet. We've seen some other cars come back from being a lap down, and we know that Ryan has the pace. So if he plays his strategy right, he can get back into this thing, because we're only on lap 64. We're still not even halfway through.
But I'll tell you what, when we get going green here, those laps will go by in a hurry. Worley is back on track, but he is a lap down, and he only has one free repair left. And I've got to begin wondering, Joe, if this is a race where you're just going to want to try and hand back and wait for more cars to take themselves out. Back to you, Sean.
No, I was just going to say, you know, we talked about it right before the green flag wave there. We were talking about Ryan Worley and his chances of getting back up through the field, and just an unfortunate bystander, and you know, that accordion effect that we talked about.
Joshua Gardner, who'll be restarting second. We're taking a look at his pink and white car here, and it has a bit of damage on the right hand side. You can see there the side pod, I guess you call that, is bent in a little bit, but doesn't seem to be bothering him too much. He's staying out there in second.
Yeah, but once they get going, aero damage on these cars, I would imagine, is pretty critical, especially on the top speed, which if you lose some top speed around here, you are going to just be a sitting duck for passes to be made time and time again, and that's not what Josh Gardner is going to want. Now, we don't know if he's taken both cars yet. We know he got clipped a little bit earlier when I believe it was Sheila Reiber who he was trying to avoid, or something along those lines in turn 2. So if he can't get that repaired, this could really be damaging.
Well, the good thing about getting a little bit of damage here is it takes about 90 seconds for these cars to do a lap under caution here. So, you know, you can always come in the pits and you've got 90 seconds of repairs that you can get done to your car before you have to come out again. That's what Randy Webster is doing right now. He's in the pits with a bit of front wing damage. David Freeboss, who's several laps down, is in the pits, probably just getting fresh tyres, topping up with fuel. Probably the same story with Ryan Worley, who's back down pit road, going to go to the back of the field. Ray Fournier also in the pits, and while all that's going on, the lights are still on the pace car, so I think this will be a good time to take a quick break, and we'll come back for the restart. Neil Froelich still leading here at Indianapolis. We are 90 minutes through this race, a third race distance. But don't fret. Yes, that does mean that this race could go on for another 3 hours. Well, no, that wouldn't be the case because there is a time limit on this race of 3 hours and 50 minutes. We are, like I say, already about 90 minutes through. So at most, this race will be completed in 2 hours. So, easily done in green, but it won't be a caution fest for another 3 hours. Don't worry about that. But Neil Froelich, we saw him got a good jump on Joshua Gardner on the latest restart. Joshua Gardner, we know, has damage, so maybe he'll want to stay by Froelich to keep up his top-end speed in that slipstream. Pace car is about to peel off. We're going to see Froelich, Gardner, and Weisert lead the field. Let's hope the field get a clean restart this time by. There goes Froelich. Doesn't look like the accordion effect is coming into play this time. It looks like a clean restart throughout most of the field so far, although there is a bit of battling going on back in the field there.
A lot of battling. Whoa, and there was a huge checkup from Mike Willett that caused some of these guys on the front stretch to really get out of it, but everybody did get through clean, it looks like, Sam.
Alright, so let's turn our attention back to the front because top 3 cars are spread apart now, but that could change within half a lap. And I have a feeling that with Ryan Worley's recent misfortune, Sean, that Bud Weisert is going to be trying to look for the lead very soon.
Yeah, and I'm actually watching Ryan Worley, and he's made his way around a couple of lap cars already, starting to make some progress and get. He's at the tail end of the lead lap right now. Not on the lead lap, a lap down, but he is at the tail of the leaders and has set himself up to get that lap back should we get another caution.
Yeah, if we get a caution, he will get the lucky dog. Anyway, the battle for second, heating up right here. Joshua Gardner and that damaged pink machine is about to lose the position to Bud Weisert. I should imagine that on lap 69 it should be easily said than done, easily done than said.
One of those two, at least, regardless. Budweiser is into second, and in fact, he's already set his sights on Neil Froelich and is closing in. These guys closed right up on top of each other at the start of the last lap, so they were close. And I was going to say that it looked like that Josh Gardner's damage wasn't affecting him, but now he's starting to really drop back from these guys as Budweiser is really eyeing Neil Froelich, and he is closing at an incredible rate down the backstretch.
William Fletcher had been running on the lead lap, is now out of the race.
And
Don't know
there's
about
a
that,
change for the lead.
Bud Weisert into the lead.
Yes, in fact, that he definitely did not hesitate whatsoever. Here we thought that maybe Neil Froelich had the pace. He's going to come right back at him. We could be seeing a repeat of what we see in real life in these cars, but no. It looks like Neil knows we've got a lot of race left to go, only on lap 71 now, so that all he has to do at this point is just kind of hold on, wait for strategy to play out. There's no need to be battling for the lead back and forth.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt on the news about Fletcher, but there were only 16 cars left in the lead lap, only 15 now with his retirement, and that moves Worley up into 16th position, first car 1 lap down. Meanwhile, great battle going on for 9th. Carl Burke was 9th, he just lost 2 spots and 1 straightaway as Ryan Toma and Kevin Canodal go around him on the outside, and Ryan Worley actually now behind him, but obviously that's not a battle for position.
Oh, and Carl Burke is not happy with whoever just got by him because he was complaining on the radio about being cut off by somebody and saying, you can't do that. So Carl Burke, as he loses 2 more positions, has got to try and get back in there and get some elbows out, I think.
Yeah, meanwhile, the top 2 leaders holding station, while, as you say, Joshua Gardner fallen back, running lap times about almost a second off the pace of the leaders. Craig Capon in 4th should soon dispose of him for 3rd. Battle for Chris Beck, who was running 7th, has lost 2 spots that lap to Drew Lalonde and Ryan Toma. Ryan Toma being a really big win on this restart. He is, I'm not quite sure. Oh, and what happened to Kevin Canodal there? He just lost out at turn 4 but was able to save it. Good driving there by the driver of a number 69 white and black car.
Yes, excellent save. That's a hugely scary moment, especially when you've got a lot of cars around like that. So now all he has to do is get his heart rate down and get back focused at the job at hand. Meanwhile, looking at Ryan Worley, actually we're on board with Ryan Burke, it sounds like.
We are, and he just made a move for position there down the inside. A lot of action going on in the middle of the field right now, Sean.
Yes, there is, and just keeping an eye on Ryan Worley. He is passing cars at will, and he did just avoid that bobble there that we saw, and he's going hard.
Caution.
He just made another caution.
I didn't see who caused it.
There's one car flipping upside down on the front stretch. It's Scott Hutchinson, who was running on the lead lap, so that'll be another position for Worley. He just lost out of turn 4. Scott Hutchinson lost out of turn 4, much like Kevin Canodal did the lap before, and he flipped over, I'm counting about 20 times in that car. Huge barrel roll, and David Freeboff does a great job to avoid him in the other red car right there. Scott Hutchinson, massive wreck, and I don't know if that does him in. I don't know how many wrecks he's had today.
Now, I'm trying to remember, Sean, if this, as we watch another replay, was Scott Hutchinson the one we were talking about earlier, getting down on that rumble strip? Because that's exactly what he does right here.
He certainly was. He certainly was.
And once again, we're about to watch a replay here of David Freeboth in the number 32 car avoid Scott Hutchinson. Just watch this on board. Might take us a little while to... Here we go. Coming out of turn 4. Going into turn 3. He's riding about 220 miles an hour here, down to about 215 miles an hour in the turn. So he's just minding his own business, no one else around, and just watch us. That was close. You should imagine that David might be coming in for fuel, tyres, and a new set of underwear.
Always a necessity when you're racing at Indy, it seems. But yeah, back to what we were talking about, Sean. This seems like a perfect illustration of why you just don't want to get too low in those corners.
Yeah, exactly. And he flirted with danger there on those rumble strips, and as soon as he got off them back onto the track surface, the car got loose and just broke off into the inside wall. And the car is heavily damaged now.
And everyone coming into the pits on lap 75, so that'll take them to about lap 105, lap 110 if they decide to stay out. Budweiser to lead in the field in. Ryan Worley will get the wave around, but should have to restart at the back. Now, will Neil Froelich be able to get the lead from Budweiser to leapfrog him in the pit stops here? We'll find out. Both hit their marks. Both are up on the jacks. Both come down off the jacks, and Budweiser's going to lead them out.
Now, if I was Ryan Worley on this next restart, once he gets the wave around here, I'm thinking just hang back just a little bit, just to make sure that, you know, none of this chaos that we've seen on some of these restarts doesn't unfold all over again, because we don't know if he has any free cars left after having that one taken away earlier. So at this point, it pays to be a little bit cautious. We're only on lap 75. He's got time left. Once the cars string out, he knows he has the pace. He's one of the fastest cars out there. He's going to start passing them by bit. He doesn't need to be in the thick of it right away.
Ryan Worley is currently the first car behind the pace car. He is on the tail end of a lead lap. He will get the wave around and rejoin the field at the back of the cars on the lead lap. So right now he's about 50 seconds behind the leaders. Soon he'll be about 10. Yeah, Ryan Worley's going to get the wave around here. Let's explain this a bit better. I mean, he's got quite a bit of fuel in that car, so pitting isn't an immediate danger to him anyways. As you see the red light on the back there blinking, indicating that he is under cautions. I believe the way it works anyway is Ryan Worley's actually entitled to the lucky dog, so he will get a wave around no matter what. The cars behind him that are in front of a leader, because every single lead lap car pit that time round, so that includes Tim Ryber, Matt Gilder, James Jones III, Ray Fournier, Sheila Ryber, Mike Willett, David Freeboff. Yep, that's them. They will get a wave around providing they don't pit. Ryan Worley gets a wave around no matter what happens because he was the first car one lap down. just to explain how the caution and the wave around strategy works in oval racing, and there goes Worley. We're going to take a break. We'll be back to Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the next restart, which will take place at about La Paley with 120 laps, 2 hours to go. Pace lights are off. The field are working their way through turn 4 right here. Ryan Worley did not make a pit stop, but I have a feeling we'll get a caution here before too long. Sorry for technical background noise right there. Hopefully it should have gone now. Budweiser going to lead the field away. He is quick back on the gas pedal. Going to get a great jump over Neil Froelich, Joe.
Yeah, that was a decent jump. Neil Froelich is not letting him give away. However, both of them got a really good jump on Craig Capon, who was under threat from Josh Gardner right away, and Josh is not able to continue that momentum. Meanwhile, back up front, Neil Froelich definitely not trying to let this get out of their hands. But if I was these guys, I'd really hope that they've got a crew chief right now letting them know that Ryan Worley is on the lead lap. So that guy is not out of it at all.
Yeah, and he just got past Mark Redeker, flew right past him, and now he's got Brian Barnes in his sights.
Mickey Edmondson just got free trained from 5th to 8th place after getting a bad exit out of turn 2. Meanwhile, I would like to make a note that all the leaders pit under that last caution, so Joshua Gardner was able to get his repairs taken care of. Look at this Batman going on for 7th.
So obviously that's one more car that he has lost. And yeah, it's just Steve Paulison, Mickey Edmondson, Carl Burke.
Oh,
and we got an accident.
Spinning.
Kevin Kernodle. No caution. He was a lead lap car but spun off the circuit. So there he goes. Just loses that out of turn 2, gets in the wall. But because he was in the infield, no caution came out, but certainly one car less that Worley has to worry about.
And he's actually still sitting on the infield trying to figure out how to get his car going because I don't think it's steering the way he wants. I think he's sitting there hoping for the caution, and it's not going to come, it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like he got a little bit of help turning around there, trying to see who the car was that helped him, but it certainly wasn't on his own.
What just happened to Carl Burke? He, in turns 1, Carl Burke was battling for the position with Mickey Edmondson, got loose coming out of turn 1 and had to take to the pit road, escape road in turn 2, and he lost 4 positions doing that.
Well, and I'm hearing Kevin actually complaining some about being ran into the back by somebody, so that confirms what we heard about, or what we thought, him possibly having some contact there. Meanwhile, Neil Froelich has just been holding right behind Budweiser. Gets a run every single time, and every single time he backs off. Sean, I think we're seeing the first of these guys really racing with his brain here.
Yeah, I think you're right. I was just looking what happened to Kevin Canoodle there, and it looks like it was Skip Worthington in number 14 A little aggressive and caught just a piece of Mr. Canoodle, and that's the reason for the spin.
Meanwhile, Ryan Worley making a move by Steve Paulison for 8th position. So, Worley is closing in, but he is about 10 seconds back of the battle for the lead between Budweiser and Neil Froelich. Cars in between them are Craig Cabon, Joshua Gardiner, Ryan Toma, Drew Lalonde, and Chris Beck. Joe, those are so tough nuts to crack.
Yeah, we'll see how he deals with it. He is, last time by, he was, in fact, a whole second faster than Chris Beck, and you can just see that gap close. Now coming onto the front stretch here out of turn 4, he's not even going to need the draft. He is already going to fly by this guy. And look at that, up into 7th place now already.
Meanwhile, battle for third going on. Joshua Gardiner took a look underneath Craig Capon. Instead of yielding the position, Capon fought and actually was able to hold him off on the outside. So these drivers beginning to really fight for these positions, but I'm sure they don't want to get too carried away. Well, there's also a bit of a battle for 5th between Ryan Toma and Drew Lalonde.
I was going to say, we're only on lap 83. They still got a lot of laps to go in a 200-lap race, and this time Gardner's got him on the inside. I think it's wise to just let him go and just hold behind. Yep, now Capon is going to slot in behind and just let himself hold 4th place. Whoa, what a huge bobble from Gardner.
He did well to save that, and that could have been ugly because Toma and Lalonde had closed in on them. That could have been a 4-car wreck and moved Ryan Worley up 4 spots into 3rd right there. Meanwhile, you're not missing anything up front. This is the best battle in the top 10 right now.
Boy, we got to give credit to Ryan Toma sitting in 5th place at the moment, because this is a guy who was a lap down and has come back, and I'm hearing some more noises going on. Sounds like we've got something exciting. And Josh Gardner's lost another spot. I'm sorry, go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, he got loose out of turn 4 right there, and it cost him momentum. Meanwhile, while all this is going on, this is allowing Budweiser to Neil Froelich to run away in front. They've got about 5-6 seconds in front of this battle, and also it's going to cause Worley to close in as Ryan Toma going by Gardiner now, who gets very close to the wall, and Drew Lalonde may try and take advantage. Gardiner falling back.
Gardner's car is all over the place. This is what I was talking about earlier. You want a stable setup, and whatever happened to his car recently, it is just squiggling all over the track in every single corner. And you can see he's dropping like a rock because he does not have the confidence in it.
Yeah, you know, back here I'm looking at James Jonas III in the number 8 car. He's all over the track too. He's really having trouble. I know he had some trouble earlier and maybe used up all of. He did use up all of his repairs at this point. He's really having trouble keeping this car on the track. I wonder if he's maybe still got a lot of damage on that thing.
Tim Reiber also out of the race. Meanwhile, nothing's changed up front. We reiterate. Craig Capon, meanwhile, has been able to run away from this battle, which is now for 4th, so he's pretty much got 3rd solidified right now. And, wow, look at this. Worley now making his move. He's up into 6th position and going to take 2 cars in 1 turn. What a move by Ryan Worley.
I think he was helped along by Gardner, who just got a little bit wide through there. In fact, I think Gardner might have hit the wall a little bit before, and we're on replay.
Yeah, Gardner's just been off the pace, and Worley was just able to make it work, and Malone followed through. Lalonde followed through.
Ryan Worley hit a 39.9 last time by. I'm going to wait and see what exactly his lap time is this time and check it up against our 2 leaders of Budweiser and Neil Froelich. This time it was a 40.8, a little bit slower probably because of that moment in turn 1. Budweiser 41.08 and Neil Froelich a 41.3. So I think he's actually slightly faster than our leaders at this point.
Not only has Ryan Worley been the only car who's broke into the 39s today, the second fastest time is a 40.351 by Budweiser. So if he can continue to run those 39.9s, that would mean he's about half a second faster than any other car on the track at any given lap. Look at this, he's making a move on Ryan Toma for 4th place. and it looks like he should make it stick. Thomas should give up a position, and now they're going to begin running down Craig Capon. And I would like to note right now that the drivers in 2nd, 3rd and 4th were out pits for the race.
Very interesting, and I'm just going to give Craig the little hurry up here so that he doesn't suffer from your pick there that's catching him very quickly right now as Ryan Worley has put on an incredible performance. I mean, this is some impressive stuff. We already knew he was fast, but it's been, what, maybe about a dozen or 2 dozen laps, and he's gone from a lap down all the way up into 4th place.
Now, let's, because Worley stayed out under the last caution, he may have to pit before the rest of this thing stays green. Meanwhile, there was a bit of a battle for the lead shaping up. Neil Froelich was looking underneath Bud Weiser down the front stretch, but didn't do anything, but it shows that he certainly was looking. I can't imagine he was trying to cool the engine on that car. And another piece of news, Kevin Canodor has retired from the race.
Meanwhile, Craig Capon, I think, is going to lose the spot, and here it is right now as Ryan Worley has got the inside and is going to fly by down past the yard of bricks.
Yeah, it does look like Kevin Canodal has decided to give up the hunt. He is out of the race.
15 cars on the lead lap. Mike Willett, the organizer, is the only car 1 lap down. Sheila Ryber was 1 lap down, but has now gone 2 laps down. I wonder if she had to pit. But Froelich has fallen into line behind Budweiser. Ryan Worley is now up into 3rd by Craig Capon. Ryan Toma leads Drew Lalonde in the battle for 5th. Joe?
Yeah, and as we watch these guys with Drew in that orange and black car trying to run down Tommy, he's got a good run, but it's just not quite enough, I don't think, unless he makes a wild dive. No, he backs out of it, coming into 1. So Toma is going to be able to hold on to that top 5 at this point. And he looked a little unsteady coming out of 1 there, but now he's got it back gathered together. Now, yet another run for Drew Lalonde. Is he going to be able to do it this time down, closing once again? Just not enough, I think. He just loses on the washout. Yeah, just watch how he backs away out of those corners. This time he doesn't as much, though, Sam, and I think he should be able to get it this time.
Perhaps I've been keeping half an eye on the battle for the lead as well, but yeah, here goes Drew Lalonde. He's looking down the inside of Ryan Toma, showing that he's going to be a threat to reckon with, but Ryan Toma holds his ground and is going to lose out on the exit there. Car understeers a bit, he has to back off not to get in the wall. Joshua Gardiner behind them in 7th place. Meanwhile, James Jonas III is in the pits with front end damage, so I don't quite know what happened there. And really though, back to Ryan Toma, this Alpha 5th as Drew Lalonde pulls away from him a little bit. I've been trying to find a couple other battles on the track. We do have a battle for 8th, 9th and 10th between 3 drivers we haven't mentioned in a little while. Chris Beck, Skip Worthington and Brian Barnes, who has been under the radar today.
And
yeah,
that's
Brian,
Chris. Oh, go ahead, Sean.
I was just going to say, Brian Barnes has been setting up Skip Worthington here for about 6-7 laps, and Skip goes to the inside going into the turn and takes the position from Chris Beck, and here comes Brian Barnes. He's right behind Beck, and it looks like he's going to try and make a move on him, maybe down the back straight here.
Yeah, he's definitely got the momentum, and there he goes. Draft really taking effect, and Chris is dropping like a rock. Not sure if that's just them swapping positions or if he's really losing pace here. Regardless, Skip Worthington is on up into 8th and trying to make progress, but he's going to be under threat from Barnes, it looks like.
Yeah, and it looks like Barnes is finally going to be able to pull off this move. Let's see, going down into turn 1. Barnes to the inside, makes the move, makes the pass. Can he make it hold? And he does. Oh, and he right rear off the wall just a little bit. Barnes through turn 2, and a little loose, but he makes the pass, and he's down the back straight.
A lot of action going on here, and we've seen though when you tag a wall in the past, that could very well mean that next turn your car doesn't handle quite as well. That doesn't seem to be the case though for Barnes here. in just a matter of 2 laps, they have gone from 8th, 9th, 10th to 10th, 9th, 8th. They've completely switched around. Skip Worthington's still running in 9th place, and I'm going to imagine eventually they're going to just want to get single file and try and run the cars in front of them down. Talking about cars running in the cars in front of them down, Ryan Worley has closed the gap to the leaders down to 6 seconds. He was 7 seconds back, eating out a few tenths a lap, Joe. Oh, and here he comes into the pits. So, we were talking about Ryan being short on fuel. This could hurt him.
Well, it's still not even halfway through the race yet, so we've got a ways to go, and we've had a nice long section under green, knocking on wood on that one. I mean, he's slightly off strategy, but all it takes is a caution, and, you know, it's going to bring these guys back together, and he can come in and pit with them and lose nothing and be right back on the same strategy.
Yeah, certainly a lot of it is going to have to do with when the cautions fly. Neil Froelich keeps taking a look on the leader down the front stretch, but he hasn't done a move yet. I don't know if... I really don't understand why he's doing that, Sean.
Yeah, not sure why, but you know, he's going to be due for a pit stop here pretty soon too. So, you know, I don't know. Maybe the handling is starting to go away on his car just a bit, but interesting strategies now starting to be played out now that we've got a little bit of a green flag run going.
Well, now let's not count Ryan Worley out, because like Joe says, eventually everyone else is going to have to pit, and if a caution comes out right after everyone else pits, they all end up on the same strategy. Ryan Worley could essentially, if he runs fast enough, he could still leapfrog the leaders once all their pit stops are said and done.
Yeah, we'll have to see. However, Ryan Worley did go a lap down from that pit stop, which is not unusual, but it does affect how the strategy works out. He just has to hope that these guys have to make their pit before the next caution.
Watching the leaders go by the laps car of David Freeboss there is running 5 laps down. Now, we're not going to be halfway this time round, but we will be starting lap 100. And look at Budweiser. Very bad run out of turn 4. And this is the opportunity that Froelich is waiting for. And he goes through and takes the lead. And Froelich may very well be the leader at the halfway point, but he gets on the apron. And now Budweiser fights back on the outside. Froelich gives it to him. Budweiser, it looks like it will still be scored as the leader next time by.
And that was all set off. The league organizer, Willett, was ahead of them, and I think he was heading into the pits, actually, and just caught Weisert a little bit off guard. And either he had a hesitation, or he was distracted, or got loose or something. But meanwhile, actually, speaking of loose, I don't know about you, Sean, but I've been watching Froelich's car, and coming through 4, it looks like he's just getting a little bit loose each time. I'm not entirely sure, though.
Yeah, well, the last time I talked about Froelich, I suggested that maybe it was starting to go away from him a little bit, and I think what we're seeing is exactly that. I think his tires are starting to wear off a little bit. Maybe he's overdriving it a little bit too hard into the turns, but we're seeing something here, and he's probably going to need to get into the pits pretty soon if we stay under green, because I think the result of a car getting loose here is not good.
Well, we've seen with some of the today's DNFs that it hasn't been exactly good news. But yeah, it's as we're actually past halfway now, which has been something I've been wanting to say for a while. It looks like Froelich is being very patient about making the move on Weiser. It looked like he only attempted that move, Joe, because he saw the window of opportunity open for him, and as soon as he made a mistake, he said, you know what, I'm not going to fight this too hard, I'm going to drop back in behind Weiser.
I also wonder if it's simply a case of he didn't really want to lift there because he knew he would be losing time, and he wasn't sure maybe if Bud Weisert was running into some sort of trouble. So it could be at that point that Neil just thought, well, might as well just keep in it and see if I can start to make it a little bit of gap. But it wasn't the case, and like you said, he saw the writing on the wall, and now he's continuing to hang behind. Now, not far behind them, although a big gap in terms of oval racing, 10 seconds back is Craig Capon sitting in 3rd. So he's not in the fight right now, but all he needs is another caution to get back into these guys' hair and maybe cause them a little bit of concern. but so far we haven't really seen him have the pace to be able to hold on without the draft.
You know, Brian Barnes finally put some space between him and Skip Worthington. Looks like Skip's having a little trouble with the handling now, too. His car's gone away from him, and he's about 3.5 seconds back from Brian, who is, like I said, now moved away from him in 7th place. Got his sights set on Joshua Gardner there in the number 131.
Yeah, he's running him down at half a second a lap, Sean. And we can't forget that Brian, I believe, is actually one of the top 5 in the point standing, so certainly has a lot of talent. I just doubted him when I saw him starting from the back of the grid, starting in 27th place. But boy, he's certainly showing us now. He is up there in 7th position.
Yeah, and he is currently 3rd in points. And right now, if I was to pick a hard charger of the race through the first half, I'd say it goes to Brian Barnes. He's really worked it well.
What happened to Skip Worthington there? He was 8th. He's just dropped 2 spots back to 10th within 1 lap. Chris Beck and Carl Burke have gone by him.
Yeah, I think Skip's just really lost the handle on it. I think he's going to be looking for a pit stop here pretty quick, especially if we stay green. I think Skip needs to get in and get some fresh Firestones on that thing and top off some fuel.
And speaking of that, exactly. So Bud Weisert is now putting his tires on. Now, I do know that that Ryan Worley was running faster laps than them and reeling them in, even though he was a lap down. So this should put him back on the the same, not the same strategy, but on the same lap as Bud Weisert. So the question is, did he close in enough as he was running in clean air for most of that time to maybe try and leapfrog him?
Ryan Worley did a very good job on pit exit. Now, his stop was 7.9 seconds. Weiser is long, but Weiser is a 10-second stop. That's 2 seconds. He lost just there. So,
Neil Frolick is in. Neil Frolick is in the pits.
A lot of cars are in the pits, and here comes Worley. He's going by them all right now. I'm keeping my eye on this. I'll let you keep an eye on pit road, Sean. Bud Weisert is exiting turn 2 right now. I guess Worley must have hit traffic, because he's still far behind Weisert, if not further than he was before. What's happening down pit road, Sean?
Yep, Neil Frolick just stopped in his pit stall, and the car is up on the jacks, and he's going for 4 tires and fuel, and, well, there he goes. He's off, and he is exiting pit lane now.
That's a better stop than Weisert's stop. Here's Weisert. He's coming through turn 1 right now. Neil Frolick using up all the track. He still has to stay on the apron. Look at this. Here comes Weisert on the outside. He will easily beat Frolick here.
Yeah, in fact, I think he's definitely going to put a significant gap compared to what it was before the stops on Neil Frolick, although Neil was easily holding up on the back of him, so we'll have to see if maybe he can run him down and get back into this thing. Now, Ryan Worley, he didn't really make up a whole lot of time on Weisert. It was about a 7-second gap, same as it was before he made his stop. And we've got a caution now. This was perfect timing for Ryan.
Sheila Ryber, who had been running a few laps down, and I'm pretty sure that's her 3rd wreck of the race.
Boy, one more lap earlier for that yellow, and Ryan Worley would have been screwed.
It's a 2-car incident between Ryber and who's that coming out of pit road? Is that Skip Worthington in the blue car? Right in front of her, and Sheila, okay, what happened there is the blue car tried to get out of the way for Sheila, and Sheila dived down to the inside thinking, hey, I'll try and get by this car. Basically, they both tried to make a move to avoid each other. Sheila lost control, got on the grass, slid back up onto the track, and I really wish I knew who the driver of that blue car is there.
That's Skip Worthington, actually.
Yeah. See, Skip Worthington wasn't trying to block her, he was trying to get out of Sheila's way. And it just ended up that they both made the same move at the same time.
Well, unfortunate to say that that's just some basic backmarker etiquette that you just hold your line to keep from being unpredictable. So, hate to see miscommunications like that, but it's a hard lesson that sometimes you have to learn.
Well, To you, Sean.
Well, it looks like Budweiser is going to take over the lead of this race as Chris Beck went into the pits, and we'll, as soon as we get back to the stripe here, we'll see how this shakes out.
Yeah,
Yep.
it will be Wysett, Froelich, and Worley, and that is very bad news in my opinion for Wysett and Froelich, because we've seen the pace that Worley has today, and also now they're pretty much back on the same pit strategy. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back to Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the restart. Worley came into the pits. Carl Burke, Mark Redeker, Mickey Edmondson, and Steve Paulison got wave around. 13 cars left on the lead lap. Worley will restart 8th. Third place will be Ryan Tomer. Neil Froelich will restart 2nd. And restarting 1st will be Bud Y. Zert. And he has control of the field right here in that red and white car. We know Neil Froelich is pretty content to ride behind him right now. But he gets a great restart here. Actually, there's a bit of an accordion there, but only 3 cars. They got a big gap over the rest of the field. Joshua Gardiner, who actually had a spin under caution, but didn't hit anything. And fortunately, it looks like they're all the way cleanly, Joe.
Oh, and we're back. Chris Beck makes a nice move here through the turn as he gets back under power. He's closing in on Ryan Worley, coming down the back stretch.
I have to apologize. My mic had a few problems there, but yes, so it looks like... I'm sorry, what did you say there?
I was Chris Beck making his way around Carl Burke. Sorry about that. Go ahead, take it away.
It's okay. Yeah, and Mike Willett had a bit of a moment there as well coming through turn 4. But I was watching the front of the field there. Right now, Weisert, once again, not able to gap Neil Froelich, so he's holding him in check. And they've got Ryan Toma close behind with Craig Capon also in there. Drew Lalonde, who we haven't seen up front a whole lot, is sitting in 5th at the moment. And then, of course, we have to worry about Ryan Worley, who has just dispensed with Brian Barnes for 6th place. And I don't think it's going to take him hardly any time at all with only 2 seconds up to the leaders.
You know, I'm seeing something with Worley. He looks a little slower right now. I wonder what's going on. Maybe he's just laying back, but Barnes is staying really close to him, and he's not advancing towards the front here.
Could be taking his time, he's in a lot of traffic, or maybe the front end is washing out in that dirty air that he's running through right now. Coming up to the orange and black number 31 car of Drew Lalonde down the backstretch. Certainly won't be able to make a move into 3 unless Lalonde lies over for him. But Lalonde is tucked up right behind Capon. They take 3 different lines entering the corner, all take the low line in the middle of the corner. Drew Lalonde doesn't look like he's using up the whole track. I don't know if he's doing that to be defensive or if he's just struggling with this new chassis. He gets a little loose there, and Worley's going to take advantage and move himself up into the top 5 with 85 laps to go.
It looked to me like a rather clumsy attempt at trying to stay defensive, and I think it backfired on him as now he's both lost the position and momentum because Brian Barnes is all over the back of him and he looks ready to try and pounce.
Battle for 3rd here as well between Ryan Toma and Craig Capon, Sean.
Yeah, and it looks like Toma's moving away from him right now. And as they go through the turn here, Toma definitely has the advantage as he continues down the back stretch here. I'm sorry, down the front stretch. And Neil Froelich is, I'm showing a full second in front of him, so a second and a half now. So it looks like the front 2 are pulling away pretty quickly.
Worley just took 4th position away from Capon. Ryan Toma is... And there's a spinner, and it's Joshua Gardiner. And caution is out. One of the lead lap cars on out of turn 1. Looks like it may have been a single car spin. We'll let the replay tell us more. Yep, just got in the wall on the exit of turn 1. Hard hit on the inside wall. And we know he's used up at least 1 free repair. And if he's used up 2, he's in trouble because there's a lot of damage on that number 131 machine, Joe.
Yeah, that's a really easy mistake to make. I know when I tried to put in my qualifying run, at least the first time I tried for the iRacing Indy 500, that is a mistake I made in the midst of qualifying, which is embarrassing since you don't get another try on that, at least not for another hour. And it seems like such a slight hit for it to send you flying so hard inside, but that's just kind of how it works when you bounce off that outside wall on turn 1. You really cannot keep it from turning in. Something about the way the tires hit that wall just sends the car absolutely flying to that inside short chute, and there's just no coming back from it.
I want to take a look back here to see the last time Ryan Worley led a lap. Although we've seen how impressive he is at being through traffic, at making his way through, and yes, granted, he did have that one incident, Ryan Worley has led 50 laps today. The last lap he led was on lap 60. So, this tells us a little something here. Although Ryan Worley is undoubtedly the fastest car on the track, he's been struggling a bit with strategy today, in my opinion, and making his way back up through the field to the very front, because Budweiser and Froelich are putting on times not that much slower than him. Perhaps there is a possibility that Worley is going to have a bit of a challenge to win this race if the leaders are going to fight him. But I'll tell you what, there could be a bit of strategy play here as Neil Froelich comes down pit road.
Yes, so Neil obviously starting to put his strategy in. Now, he didn't pit too terribly long ago, too. You remember he just before our last caution, I believe it was, and now he's going to maybe top up. This could be going back to what we talked about earlier. When you get into the latter stages of the race, you're working backwards towards the finish. You want to be able to pit as soon as you can and make it all the way to the end. That way that you don't have to duck in case there's a caution. You can stay out, get yourself some track position towards the end of the race. And yeah, you see Neil just topping up a little bit. I think this must be a strategic call from him to try and work his way towards the end.
Craig Capon, Brian Barnes and Drew Lalonde down pit road too. Earlier when we saw the Caution Fest, we saw them able to do about 40 laps on fuel. They would have to stretch it out to about 41 laps per run to be able to make it to the end on one more stop. I can't see that happening unless it became a timed racetrack.
Well, and I feel like we've only had what, maybe about a 50 lap run under green, or at least the longest one that we've had. Not even that, I'm sure. So these guys must be anticipating that we're going to keep getting these yellows as the race goes on.
Well, currently the top 5 is Weiser, Ryan Toma, Ryan Worley, Chris Speck and Neil Froelich. Sean, what are your thoughts on how the top 5 are shaping out so far? Because I know you weren't with us for the for last year's Indy 500 broadcast.
Well, I think what we're seeing is the guys who laid down really good qualifying laps are indeed that fast, and it's holding form here towards the later stages of the race. They've managed to stay out of trouble and keep going towards the front. So I think the top 5 is looking pretty good, and as long as they can avoid the carnage that we've seen so far today, I think they're going to be in good shape.
In about 7 more laps, Weisert will lead more laps than anyone else today if he is able to retain that lead. Pace car about to cross over the yard of bricks here. We'll see if the lights stay on or not as they come to complete lap 118 of 200. 82 laps left to go. Crosses the yard of bricks and the lights are off.
So should be getting back to green here. Ryan Toma doing very nicely. Got himself up into second place here. Although I feel like it's going to be no contest as soon as the green falls. Ryan Worley sitting in third. I'm thinking we're going to see the first of many more laps led by him once the green falls.
You know, Ray Fournier, the number 26, has got his lap back, and he's back into the battle. Could see him be a player before this thing is all said and done with.
Joshua Gardner 1 lap down, Mike Willett 2 laps down, David Freeboss still returning laps out there, 5 laps down, Scott Hutchinson 8 laps down, and I'm pretty sure everyone from 18th on back is out of the race as we look at Ray Fournier right there, who is going to be the last car left on the lead lap. Here's Neil Froelich. What's he going to be able to do? He's right in the middle of the field right now. It's certain that he's going to try and get back up to the front of the field. And pace car making its way over into turn 3 right now.
But we've certainly seen that middle of the pack area can be a little bit dangerous, although I think Neil is mostly in front of any of the carnage that could happen a little bit farther down the line. So Neil should be good. Still, always a little nerve-wracking when you've got cars both in front and behind on the restart.
And the driver, Budweiser, will be one driver who does not have to worry about cars in front and behind him. He has cars behind him, but they're not really allowed to overtake him before the start-finish line. And I'm pretty sure Ryan Thoma's not going to be worrying too much about Bud either, because he has Ryan Worley, who's going to be all over his rear wing. And let's keep an eye out on Chris Beck and Carl Burke. Haven't talked too much about them today, but there they are in 4th and 5th. Budweiser gets a good restart. Hope he didn't jump a pace car there. And looks like the rest of the field gets a good restart too. Fairly clean one here this time, Joe.
Yeah, thankfully everybody was through there just fine, it looks like, as now Weisert heads them through turn 2. And now, oh, look at that. Toma already having to go defensive around the outside of Ryan Worley, was able to hold him off. I didn't see how that started, but I saw the end of it, and that looked impressive.
17 cars still on the circuit, and here's 2 of them who are taking up the canvas right now as Ryan Toma actually puts 2 wheels on the inside curve. We know he's certainly no slouch around here, but I think he might be fighting a losing battle. Here comes Worley down to the inside. Toma's gonna let it happen. Meanwhile, Budweiser just clicked off. He's 46 lap led. Ryan Worley has led 50, but right now he's got 1.6 seconds between him and Bud.
I'm pretty sure that that amount of seconds is going to go down very quickly as he tries to run him down the backstretch. Now, if I was Toma, I'm thinking, hold on to this guy's coattails at this point. If he's been paying attention at all, or if he has a crew chief, he's got to know that he's got faster pace. So his draft is going to be critical to stay up in these top 3 and stay in contention if these 2 up front start battling.
Steve Paulison just lost a lot of spots that lap. He was in 7th and fell down to 10th, Sean.
Yeah, he did, and it was Neil Froelich going by him there that's kind of started that, and then he just kind of started falling back. But don't look now. Here's Neil Froelich getting ready to make a move on Carl Burke. And Chris Beck in his sights as he goes through turn 2, and down the backstretch they go. Froelich to the inside of Burke, and looks like he's going to make the pass, and now he's on his way to take off Chris Beck. As they go into 3, here's Froelich through the turn. Beck just in front of him. And the distance is still there, but and looks like they're going to get through the turns just fine as they come down the front straight.
Keep an eye on the battle for 6 back there also now between Chris Beck and Craig Capon as Neil Froelich tries to run Burke down.
Yes, and he's doing a nice job being nicely patient. There was a moment in there I was hoping he didn't try and do something foolish, but dispensed with Beck quite handily. Now, coming up to Carl Burke, once again, has a huge run down the backstretch and is able to easily get on by him, it looks like, before they even get to turn 3 here. Yep, and Burke is going to give up the ghost and allow Froelich up into 4th. Now, it's a little bit longer ways getting up to Ryan Toma, but he seems to have the pace. He certainly did before the last caution.
Budweiser is pulling away from Ryan Worley. He just put 2/10 on him that lap. A 40.4. That's one of the quickest laps we've seen in the race in clean air without the slipstream. So Budweiser could certainly be a contender for the win today.
Maybe he was playing possum earlier on. It's hard to tell because, like you said, Worley was the one putting on the fastest laps out of anybody. Maybe Weisert, like I said, he knew where that limit was. He wasn't going to try and flirt with it too much. He didn't have to push. Now it's getting into the closing stages. Now he's got Ryan Worley directly behind him. Now he knows this is when it's time to turn it on.
Guys, Brian Barnes getting ready to make a move on Drew Lalonde here as they go into turn 1. And he's going to keep his distance and not make a move to the inside. But watch out. Here comes Brian Barnes trying to get up into that top 5.
Yeah, it's a bit of a 3-car battle there, with Craig Capon actually holding him up, which surprises me a bit, because Craig Capon was running solidly in the top 5 earlier. Now he's struggling to hold on to 7th, Joe.
I was thinking the same thing, and it could be, whoa, when he dips way low down into that rumble strip and everybody behind him has to check up and look at Drew Lalonde taking a look on the inside of 4, but not quite able to do it, and that compromises the exit line for Drew Lalonde as he has lost his momentum. Brian Barnes is coming up behind him, but he looks like he lifts off a little bit, decides not to get into it. But I was gonna say, it's the ebb and flow of the setup of these cars. Maybe Capon's car was working a little bit better earlier on in the race, and now as it's getting into the latter stages, maybe it's just starting to get away from him. It's not set up as well to deal with whatever situation he's got. And just ahead of them, we got to change up for position as Carl Burke is put another position down by Chris Beck.
Yeah, it's all happening right here, as our co-commentator Richard Losper would say. And I wouldn't quite say what our director is saying right now, but Craig Capon, Drew Lalonde and Brian Barnes continue their battle for 7th, being held up a little bit by Chris Beck and Carl Burke, while the top 4 cars just run away. Drew Lalonde out in no man's land up there.
Yeah, definitely got the moves put on him by Brian Barnes, who slotted himself one more position up. In fact, Brian looks like he is hungry enough to try and take on Craig Capon, but not quite. Capon, in the meantime, is looking for a way in on Carl Burke and just isn't close enough. Oh, and he has to get out of it, and a huge checkup for both Capon and Brian Barnes, but thankfully they stay out of each other, Sam.
Yeah, no, this is, I mean, it's very clean racing.
Oh.
We're finally getting...
I'm sorry, I thought Carl Burke actually had a moment into the wall there out of 4.
Well, we'll find out, because if he did, his car might push up the track a little bit here, and that is indeed what it does. He will lose the position to Brian Barnes, and in fact maybe a position to Drew Lalonde. So yeah, Carl Burke really losing his momentum now. Joshua Gardner behind him, but he's no longer on the lead lap, although Mickey Edmondson in the green car is. You'll see him appear right there at the back of your screen. Carl Burke not willing to give up his spot to Drew Lalonde, though, and that's really just hurting them. That's letting Mickey Edmondson run them in. This all happening at the back of the top 10. We know Joshua Gardner certainly has pace, but he backs off. Here comes Mickey Edmondson. He's going to look for 9th now. And I don't know this for sure, Joe, but I think Carl Burke may have got the wall, because he is just being free trained right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he got very close regardless, so either his confidence was shaken, or like we said, he's just actually got damage, and boy, what a bad time to have it this late in the race when he's probably out of free toes.
Meanwhile, let's go back and talk about, well, we'll keep an eye on this battle, I suppose, but talking about our top 4 cars right now, Ryan Worley, Ryan Toma and Neil Froelich, 2nd, 3rd and 4th. If I'm not mistaken, they were the 3 drivers who were battling for the win pretty much all race last year. Really the driver that has impressed me this year, Sean, has been Bud Weisert, because not only is he leading right now and has led the most laps of a race, he is running the same laps, if not even a bit faster than Ryan Worley.
He is incredibly smooth right now. He is running the same line every lap. I'm watching him closely. Not a wiggle, not a bobble. He is on pace to just run away from this field as long as they keep fighting back there, although Worley and Toma aren't fighting too much. There's plenty of distance between each of them, but yeah, Bud is moving, and again, just really smooth right now. He's got the car to beat for sure.
Yep, Bud is smooth. You know, some people may think a bit different to that, but it's certainly working for him right now, putting on fast times up there at the front of the field. Ryan Worley in 2nd, who has the fastest lap of a race and occasionally is running faster than Weisert. Toma in 4th, Froelich in 5th, Toma in 3rd, Froelich in 4th, and then all the action taking place in 5th. So let's go back to that. Chris Beck right in front of Brian Barnes, who is 3rd in the points and is going to have a great points day if he keeps this up, Joe.
Definitely, and he's done a really good job to come from a non-timed qualifying position all the way up into 6th currently, and trying to find his way into the top 5 past Chris Beck here. I mean, we still got a lot of race to go, over 60 laps left, obviously, so there's still a lot that could happen. But Barnes has just been making good, keeping out of trouble for the most part from what we've seen, and really closing up into 3 on Chris Beck. Nowhere to do it at this point. Now through the short chute, his best opportunity is going to be down into 1 if he can just slingshot this momentum. And here he goes, and look at Chris Beck going defensive. That's I think that barn door is open and the horse is gone, my good sir.
Now we're going to see if Capon is just pacing himself back there, or if he really has nothing for these guys, because they're single file in front of him, and if he has the pace, he should be able to do something about it, Sean.
Yeah, well, you would think so. I think right now is just settling in, and these guys are still going to have to make at least one pit stop. And if we get another caution, I mean, there still could be a couple of pit stops that come into play, but everybody under green flag conditions are going to need to make at least one more pit stop, probably two.
I would assume if it goes green to the end, they would need 2 stops. I think they all pitted a bit prematurely, being a bit optimistic to the fact that had it been the caution fest to the end, they could have made it on one more stop. But it looks like that with about half the field retired from the race, Matt Gold actually just retiring right now, that it's running a bit cleaner, running a bit more green. These drivers are burning fuel, and they will need about 2 more stops, whether that comes under green or caution between now and the end of the race, Joe.
Yeah, and that's just the name of the game this entire race is when are the cautions going to happen? When do I step into the pits? Earlier on, it was seeming like cautions were going to come, willy-nilly whenever they wanted. But as the race has gone on, notice that we've gotten longer and longer green portions. So now it's a big gamble. When do I hop in? When am I going to get lucky? And in fact, we saw it a little bit earlier with Ryan Worley getting lucky with the one caution that allowed him to get back onto the lead lap and not be caught out by the other 2 leaders who had just pitted before the caution came out. But Budweiser continuing to lead, 40.3 last time by. Ryan Worley a 40.3 as well. So these guys are pretty evenly matched, it seems.
Yeah, Ryan Toma has fallen off the pace the last couple of laps. I thought it was just a one-off, but the last time by he also ran a 41, and that's causing Neil Froelich to run him in, so Neil Froelich could soon be looking at getting back up there into the top 3. Comparing Toma's times with 5th on back, he is going slower than them, but there's 6 seconds between them, so I think he should be alright. Gonna watch his time across the line this time by. The 2 cars in front of him running 40.3s, Toma runs a 41.2, so yeah, something's up with Toma here. I can't imagine it's his tyres going off, Sean, because this isn't a track where you think tyre wear would be an issue.
Yeah, not really. I mean, not unless he's over or had overdriven it into a couple of the turns. Certainly, if you overdrive the car, you can wear those tires out pretty quickly. But Neil Froelich is starting to make some ground on him now, as his lap times are a little over a half a second better.
Battle closing in as they approach lap 140. If a caution came out now, they would pit and be able to make it to the end on one more stop, Joe.
Something we haven't touched on that could be coming into play with Ryan Toma is, as we said, we're 2 hours and 43 minutes into this race. Some of these guys might not have even had dinner before this thing, and that's the sort of stuff that you actually have to think about, planning your meals as to when you eat, make sure you're nice and nourished and ready and energized for this race. Some of these guys could be losing focus, could be losing that energy and drive, and that can affect your lap times.
Yeah, I know a couple of commentators probably wish they had eaten before this broadcast for sure.
Where's Weisert gone?
He is in pit lane, it looks like, actually.
Yeah, Ryan Worley is leading this race right now because Weisert is in for his penultimate stop of this race, and he could be short fueling. He could be... and he's overshot his pit stall. So, very bad there by Weisert, but he could be short fueling, thinking, short pitting here, thinking, hey, I can make it to the end on one more stop. But I'll tell you what, he lost more than 2 seconds by overshooting his pit stall there, and once this all cycles through, if it all cycles through under green, Ryan Worley could very easily be your new leader.
In fact, he is your new leader, leading first time since, what was it, Sam? I believe you said it was about lap 60 or so?
Exactly, lap 60. 80 laps ago.
So it took him a while, but he finally did it. Back into the lead, and he's got about a 7.5 second lead back to Neil Froelich.
Mike Ouellette just spun in turn 1. He has a very ill-handling car going down the backstretch now on the grass, trying to keep it in a straight line and not bring out the caution.
Yeah, and it looks like the lead lap has now shrunk to 10 drivers on the lead lap as Ryan Worley is starting to put guys down. Bud Weiser, of course, is down, and Carl Burke has been passed, Steve Paulson. And as I said, we're now down to 10 cars on the lead lap, and that's about to fall as Worley is making his way around this track pretty quickly. And it's not going to be long, and Ray Fournier is going to be down a lap.
Meanwhile, we're going to a battle for fifth, but I'm just keeping an eye on the lap times that Budweiser is running on his new tyres. And he actually ran a slow lap that time round, but I think that's because he was in traffic. So let's go back to this battle that's going on between Drew Lalonde cutting the door down on Craig Capon. And that's actually going to hurt him in the long run, Joe. It gives Craig Capon the position.
Yeah, I think Drew was trying to, and he just had a little bit of hesitation because he was a little bit out of the groove and didn't want to get into the wall. So Capon, actually, I think he lost the spot to Drew last time by. So he's just
Ryan
getting that
Worley
one
in the
right
pits,
back.
guys. Ryan Worley is in the pits.
And as we pay attention to that, I will mention as a side note that Joshua Gardner has retired from the race. Now, Ryan Worley as Neil Froelich goes into the lead, but that's not what we're... Oh, so Neil Froelich has gone by Toman. No, Toman's in the pits too, I have a feeling. Yeah, so Ryan Worley coming into the pits. I'm going to tell you, he hit his marks. And Toma is indeed in the pits. Where is Bud Weisert? Will Bud Weisert be leading this race? Because him and Worley are pretty much on the same pit strategy now. So it is a race between these two drivers putting on very similar lap times. Worley is already out of his pit stall. In fact, he's far in front. Worley had an 8.4 second pit stop, which is a pretty quick one. He's going to be about a whole turn ahead of Bud.
Yes, but Bud is already up to speed, and remember that Worley is still exiting the pit, so he is being run down. Just about when he gets back to the starting line, he's going to finally be kind of close to what the optimal speed these guys have been running during race pace. So he's still definitely ahead. He's definitely jumped him, but it's still relatively close. I think if their pace was indicative, then we could see Bud Weisert start to actually run him down.
Yeah, about 4.2 seconds. Now remember, Worley was about 2 seconds behind Weisert, so somehow he gained 7 seconds during that cycle pit stop, sure.
Well, we did, Weisert lost a few seconds there on that stop, if you remember correctly. And, but now we're seeing Neil Froelich up in the lead. And I guess the question is, when's Neil going in?
I think they can all stay out. Probably about to lap 150. I'm trying to remember when the last time we were down pit road was. I think it was about lap 118. So I have a feeling you'll see him down here in about 4 or 5 laps. These drivers are just short pitting, trying to work out when the best time to pit is around traffic, so that they all know, I'm pretty sure, that they can make it to the end on one more stop. Froelich currently leading to Barnes, Capon, Edmondson, Lalonde, Decker, all yet to make a stop.
And Lalonde has actually headed into the pits himself, so he is cycling through his pit strategy, which moves Mark Redeker up into 5th, who I believe is yet to make his stop.
Makes sense watching some action going around here. Let's ride on board for a lap around the circuit with Neil Froelich. Get a feel of what it's like to go around the speedway at 220 miles an hour.
And Froelich is crossing the stripe. Last lap there we saw was 41.046. Not his fastest lap, but certainly a good one to keep him up in front. But again, looks like he's going to need to come in here pretty soon.
Yeah, the laps clicking off should be coming in within the next couple of laps. Brian Barnes, Craig Capon stayed out that lap. And meanwhile, looking at the gap between Brian Worley and Bud Weisert, they're still running pretty much identical times, so that's not going to help Bud close in 4 seconds. Mickey Edmondson in for his final stop, and here comes Froelich down pit road. And Barnes comes in behind him, Jay.
Oh, this is interesting. Now, they weren't too terribly far apart, so it'll take a huge jump for Barnes to be able to get by him, but he could definitely easily get himself up into that draft and give himself a good opportunity to maybe gain one more position. Mark Rediker has also stopped into the pits.
Froelich into the pits. Back up, down off for Jax. His pit time, not the quickest stop in the world, but not a bad one. He's rolling out of pit road right now. Ryan Worley has already gone by. There goes Bud Weisert on the outside of him. We're watching Craig Capon, though, who has still yet to pit. Here he comes in for his pit stop. Again, that car woed down from 220 down to 60 miles an hour. Now watching Ryan Worley, who will cycle out as a leader when he comes around Craig Capon here.
As we've been watching Ryan Worley's and Bud Weisert's lap times, I find it very interesting that their times have been fluctuating slightly here and there, but as they do, they're almost always on the same 10th each time. So they're not being perfectly consistent, but they're consistently within the same range of lap time.
I have a feeling that there's going to be another caution. And I really hope there is, because if we can get Worley and Weisert bunched up together, we should see a thrilling end to this race, I have a feeling.
I have no doubt of that. And Weisert was actually, I think, just lapping David Freeboth there. So they're just not able to make any inroads into each other at this point. But we've got 50 laps left, so we are 3/4 of the way through this thing, Sam.
Yep, 50 laps, 125 miles. You're certainly beginning to think about where you want to be at the end of this race right now. Brian Worley has a 4.1 second lead. He can't complain about that. Froelich and Toma across the line, 12 and 13 seconds behind respectively. Brian Barnes 15 seconds down. And then Craig Capon is... It was just in the pits, so we're going to have to wait for time in the scoring update. Oh, there we go. Lalonde is in 6th, Beck is in 7th, and Capon is in 8th. And that looks like a really exciting battle right now for 6th.
Yeah, in fact, it seems like Capon continues to be struggling to keep his car up in contention here, as he was up in the top 3, I believe, at one point earlier on, and just has slowly been slipping down place by place as the race progresses. Not close enough to try and get anything out of Chris Beck at this point. Or actually, I'm sorry, Drew Lalonde is the next one up in line. So at this point, he's just rifling off laps to try and keep that pace going.
But if Drew Lalonde can close in on Chris Beck and begin battling, if they hold each other up, that will bring Capon and Edmondson up behind them. So there could be a battle for 6th here very soon. And Brian Barnes, meanwhile, in 5th place is 11 seconds ahead of this pack that he was racing with earlier. He's done a good job today, Sean.
Yeah, he has. He's had a great race, and you know, just depending on how things go here, he could be a contender at the end. But I'd say, considering the type of race he's had, you know, a top 5 finish would be an excellent finish for him.
And Beck had a big moment where he got into the rubble strip, and that hurt his momentum. And Drew Lalonde is now right up on top of him, but he lost it in the wash in turn 1. So he had an opportunity, but I think it was a bit of a wasted moment there for Drew Lalonde.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at the lap times. It seems that Worley and Weisert can consistently run times faster than 40.6s, and Brian Barnes has been able to break down as low as a 40.5 today. I don't think he'll have the consistency to contend for a win if he gets up there, but he certainly has a car that's capable of running in the top 5. Anyhow, we're about to rest our vocal cords one final time with a quick break here, because it looks like at this rate we're going to go green to the end, and we still got one more cycle of pit stops. Why is that? Less than 4 seconds behind Wally. Budweiser had rammed Ryan Worley down from 4 seconds to 3 seconds. It looked like we would have a showdown, then we got one anyway when the lapped car of David Freeboss ran into the wall, exiting one of the corners. Here come the leaders down pit road. Budweiser has definitely proven during the last run that he has the pace to match Worley. This could be the race right here, folks, because with enough cautions, 40 laps left to go. I don't know, they might have to come in one more time, but with enough cautions they might be able to stretch it, so this could be the last time you see them on pit road. Ryan Worley and Weisert are definitely going to be fighting for first one out of the pits. Here they come, they're in their pit stalls. Do they both hit their marks? Yes, they do. Worley hits it a little bit more square. Who's going to have a faster stop? That's what's going to come down to. Worley way far in front of Joe.
And already we're seeing some drivers predicting that you can't make it from here, including Drew Lalonde saying that they're just not going to make it. This is where you have a roll of the dice situation with these guys. I mean, they're, like you said, you can make it if you've got the caution, but I mean, if you risk that, you could try and make it as long as you can and then head into the pits, and then suddenly the caution comes out right after you make your pit stop. So I don't know, man. It's such a hard call for this late in the race. We're at lap 161, and I don't know. Do you toss it all in there to try and make the win, Sean?
Yeah, you know what? I think at this point you do. Why not? Roll the dice. But I don't think they're going to be able to make it all the way, to be honest with you. In fact, it looks to be the consensus from the drivers, as I see here in their chat. None of them really think anybody can make it. But, if you're that third car and you're drafting, maybe you can. I know one thing. As soon as I come out from this pit, I'm putting it into fourth or fifth gear and then just cruising around. Maybe even just lifting as much as I can until the pace car goes off the track.
Meanwhile, we'll wait to see if the lights come off this lap or not. The two cars that stayed out on the track were Drew Lalonde and Chris Beck. So we'll wait to see if they fight to stay on the lead, if they fight to stay in front of the rest of the leaders, or if they let them by. And when does Budweiser begin thinking about making his move by Ryan Worley as the cars that are not on the lead lap come down pit road? Pace car comes across the yard of bricks and the lights are off. So we will be going green next time by.
Interestingly, in all of this, Drew Lalonde has elected to stay out. So did Chris Beck. So these guys obviously banking on another caution coming out at some point to try and give themselves an opportunity to maybe get some track position ahead of some of these fast guys, Sean.
Yeah, that could be the play here. There could still be another caution. Who knows? But saying that everybody still has to stop. If you pit this thing just right and you make a perfect pit stop, you could get back out ahead of those guys.
It's going to be very tight up front, I have a feeling, because you've got 11 cars left on the lead lap. They're all running lap times within a half a second of each other, let's say. You only got 40 laps left, so even at that rate, you can only pull away about 20 seconds from the guy in 10th. If that's the case, if you pit, you're going to the back, I'm afraid. So there could be some fuel conservation played here, or maybe there's always a strategy of going flat out, make sure you're in the lead, so if we get one caution late on, you're the one who comes down pit road and gets off pit road first, Joe.
Yeah, there's just so many variables for these guys to be thinking about. And this is why when we talk about having a crew chief here on iRacing, which you can have someone who is able to make those adjustments on the cars and be able to watch things for you and call the pit stops, so critical, because there's a lot of things, Sam, that these guys are paying attention to when we've got green flag racing. The yellow obviously allows things to slow down, but you got to be able to focus on the racing utmost, no matter what. And it seems like we're going back to green.
10 cars in line are the top 10 cars in the race. Lalonde gets a great start. Beck does not. There's a battle for fourth already. Brian Barnes wants to look on position for Budweiser. Barnes has been down pit road 13 times this race, and this is not going to help Weisert's quest for Worley. Worley running away from him.
Ooh, and a big checkup from Barnes, which almost causes Ryan Tillman to get into the back of him.
And guys, Froelich went into the pits again, now in 11th place, making his way back up through the field. I don't know if he had to serve a black flag or if he just went in and topped off for fuel, but Froelich again, now in 11th place. He's got a lot of work to do in these last 35 laps of the race or so.
I have a feeling he may have topped off. Meanwhile, Worley up into second by Chris Beck, running down Drew Lalonde. Right now, unless there's another caution, Budweiser, I don't think, has enough to catch Worley and get by him. Although he did seem to be better in the long run, as we were seeing while this race was going green, so maybe that could all change.
It's very difficult to tell at this point. Chris Beck definitely not letting up on Ryan Worley, who's kind of biding his time with Drew Lalonde here. Now he's got a good run. I'm wondering if we're going to see a pass for the lead down the front stretch.
I think so. He can get the drive from him if he wants and then look to the outside. Lalonde's not going to block. He's going to lay over, let him by. Worley to the lead, and now Weisert needs to get by these two as soon as possible.
And this has allowed Chris Beck to get right up on the back of Chris Lalonde, so this is for second place here.
DeCalbeck just got off the wall off turn one. He's running in ninth place. He's going very slow. Mark Redick almost runs up the back of him as they go onto the backstretch. I don't know if Calbeck got the wall, but he's going very slow down the backstretch.
And remember, he might have actually touched the wall a long time ago. Yes, he definitely had a good thwack on the wall, but we're on board with Weiser.
Yeah, well, and why not? Because he's making a move on the outside of Chris Beck. And Beck's going to yield the position to him. With Brian Barnes now behind him, so that'll be a new battle for fourth. And Beck loses it almost. Able to save it, but they're certainly going to give Barnes the position coming out of turn one, Sean.
Yeah, and that was pretty close there, but
caution. Ryan Thomas in the wall. He was running in 6th place, and he was certainly a top 5 contender. Here we go. We're going to take a replay. He's already in the wall long before that replay starts. I'll try and get a different vantage point here. Here we go. All by myself. And how many times have we seen that today? You just graze the wall in one turn. That upsets the handling of your car, and you hammer the wall in the next corner, Joe.
Yeah, and especially coming out of turn one, so many guys just being bitten time and time and time again. And it's 200 laps, and you could do it 200 times, but that 201st time always seems to be the one that you just barely miss it, and that's the end.
So, well, I think this would be a good time to take a break, because we just saw a bunch of pit stops, so you're going to see a lot of the cars trying to conserve fuel, although expect Drew Lalonde and the other driver that didn't pit under the last caution, I believe that was Chris Beck, will pit under this caution. So, the battle between Brian Worley and Budweiser that we've been waiting for all race should resume when we come back for the restart here at Indianapolis. Welcome back to Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where yet another twist has just played. Not a whole bunch of trains in position, but everyone's second on back pit, and Worley did not. So, there's two ways Worley could lose this race. If Weisert passes him, or if he runs out of fuel. Meanwhile, Froelich and Ryan Toma have made multiple stops to top up with fuel just to make sure that they're safe at the end of this race. Ryan Worley's going to want cautions. The rest of the field, they're not. They're going to want to go for it and under green. And this race has had a green flag field during the second half, Joe.
Yeah, it's definitely changed shape, but it looks like we're going to go back to green right now ourselves here.
And remember, Worley likes to kind of stack them up. Will power these restarts if you will. And now he's away and gets a bit of wheel spin, but is able to pull a bit of a gap on Bud Weisert. But Bud is certainly within striking distance if he has the pace.
And Bud's really going to want this to be a crucial moment to try and stay with him and keep him in check in case Worley can make it the entire way, since they've been so close on pace. I was a bit worried with Brian Barnes right on top of him that he might get tangled up in battling with Barnes for that second place position, but at this point Barnes is starting to drop back, and actually Weisert is closing up on Worley, so this is really good for him right now.
Yeah, I really think Worley's going to need the caution, and this isn't looking good right now. Weisert looking under him, he knows he's at the pace, and look, as Worley loses the lead, will he lose second? Because Brian Barnes is not too far behind him, but no, Worley able to get his car down low, and is going to try and force Weisert into a mistake, but the battle we've been waiting for all race is now on with 30 laps left to go, Sean.
Yeah, the battle is on. We're seeing some exciting racing up front here. We got three cars just battling it out, and you know, Brian Barnes, again, we've talked about him before. He's had a great run, and he's in position to win this race now.
Yeah, Worley able to take the lead back there on the backstretch, and Weisert drifts up. Yeah, and I really don't know what kind of pace Barnes has. I didn't think he was that fast, but he's handling with the leaders pretty well here. The draft helping for sure. I'd say battle, Lalonde reels them in a little bit, but Weisert looks like he keeps missing the apexes while he's trying to defend, Joe.
I'm just keeping an eye on Brian Barnes because he could be sitting in the catbird seat if Weisert stays up with Worley here, and if it stays green all the way to the end, because if he can hold on to the draft, and now even Drew Lalonde might be sitting in a similar position, because everybody's going to be swapping positions back and forth with that draft towards the end. All it takes is a little bit of chaos and you can catch him off guard. Meanwhile, Bud Weisert moving back into the lead.
28 laps left to go. Brian Barnes still quite content to run there in third. Worley and Weisert not content to run in second, Sean.
No, not at all. And Weisert was a little loose coming off of one, even a little loose off of two. But, you know, here comes Lalonde. He's in a good position right now because now he's got Barnes in his sights. Barnes still keeping up with the leaders as we see Worley make a move to the inside. Oh, and then right up in front. Wow, he put a little bit of a slip job on him there and then kind of blocked. And, yeah, here comes Weisert back down to the inside as we go across the stripe. It's going to be really close. Oh, and Weisert's just ahead at the stripe to go back into the lead.
This is what we love watching at Indianapolis, these drafting battles between the two fastest cars of the day, equal pace, and they've got to start playing mind games now. They've got to start thinking, okay, how fast is my car? How fast is his car? What can I do on the final lap? And how can Brian Barnes come into play? Right now, Brian Barnes seems quite content to run in third, though he gets underneath Bud Weisert there. And that's not going to be good for this battle up front. Bud's going to lose a little bit of time on Brian Worley. Losing a lot of time on Brian Worley. And I don't know if Brian Barnes is going to be able to run Worley down if he gets second. Bud Weisert, I'm pretty sure, can. He's able to retain second position with 26 laps left to go. But Worley has a pretty big lead right now, Joe, as Barnes almost got up in the wall there.
Yeah, he was cutting it pretty close there, and this could have been the big moment that Worley was hoping for to try and get away from these guys and get himself a little bit of a gap. Meanwhile, actually, no, he's been closing up, so Bud Weisert is still able to retain that draft. Brian Barnes has dropped back a little bit, but I think Yes, he's closing in now. So, all these top three are still holding on to each other. Drew Lalonde has been just kind of hanging back. He hasn't really been getting up. I'm not sure if that's just straight pace or if he's wisely kind of letting three cars get very close to each other and hope that he can pick up the pieces if something happens.
Riding on board, Brian Barnes here. Weiser not making his move. And I almost wonder, Sean, if Weiser's going to think, hey, why don't I draft with Worley? Because we know, or at least I have a feeling, oh no, that's certainly not going to work. Weiser looking down the inside there. And actually it's going to lose second now to Barnes. Weiser certainly has the pace to run in Worley and pass him. It's really a question of how fast is Barnes. Look at that though, he's just sliding up in turn one. I don't think his car is set up as good as these other two. And I have a feeling that really if Barnes wants to compete for the win, he might want to ride around in third here, Sean.
Yeah, I think you're right. I've noticed with Barnes that his car is really loose off the turn. Whenever he gets off, maybe he's getting back to the throttle a little too quick. I'm not really sure, but he is loose off for sure, and it's costing him here now as we're seeing. Weiser make a move to the inside as they go across the stripe. Weiser back to the front, back in the lead as he completes the pass on Ryan Worley. They're through turn one, heading to turn two, and Weiser keeps the position as he ducks down in front of Ryan Worley.
Weiser was not giving Worley any room down there on the front stretch. Now, obviously, one reason that Barnes is going to want to try and stay with Weiser as Worley takes the lead back is if Worley does run out of fuel, the battle for the win will come down between Weiser and Barnes.
Yeah, exactly. Now, this is also one of the things that our viewers need to pay attention to, and we've got a caution.
Oh boy, another caution. Here we go. This is really going to set this up, guys. These last 20 laps are going to be exciting. Or 15 by the time the caution's over.
Car upside down. This Chris Beck, he was on the lead lap. Carl Burke is out. Carl Burke is out of a race too. Carl Burke went to pass Drew Lalonde, who has been going slow. They all three were racing. All three flipped over, exiting turn 4. That started with a battle between Lalonde and Beck, and it just got ugly here in turn 4.
Yeah, there was no saving that. It's as soon as one contact was made on entry to 4, I think that it was lights out for everybody.
Yeah. So, meanwhile, let's talk about what this race consists of right now, as Mickey Edmondson got some damage too, riding around in 9th, his car going askew. Ryan Worley, if anyone's a win out of this, it's Worley, because now he can save fuel under this caution and maybe make it to the end. We'll wait and see if he comes down pit road this time. Oh, this could be huge. Brian Barnes thinking about it too. And Worley is in the pits and Barnes is in the pits. Wow, this is going to change things up with 20 laps to go.
Yeah, and guess who has plenty of fuel to make it?
I think everyone that wasn't Worley could make it. And Brian Worley actually asking us if we enjoyed the racing. Yes, we did very much so, Worley. But we're curious to see if you can win this race. Brian Barnes, just a quick splash and dash. He is out. He's going to try and leapfrog Worley here, I'm sure. Let's see. No, Worley has a quick stop too. He's out of pit road. Now, how many lead lap cars stayed out? Steve Paulison, Neil Frolick, Ryan Toma, Craig Capon, and Bud Weiser. So, I believe Worley's going to be restarting around 6, Sean.
Yeah, you're probably right, but my favorite, Neil Frolick, might have played this whole thing out just right if we stayed green, because we know he can get to the front. We know he has a fast car. So, yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun here these last 15 laps or so.
And we will bring them all to you live on the Global Sim Racing channel after this break. Welcome back to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You are looking at 3 red cars leading the field here. Budweiser, Capon and Ryan Toma, who pit to top off fuel under the last caution and so didn't have to pit under this one. Ryan Worley is going to restart 6th behind Neil Froelich and Steve Paulison in 4th and 5th. Brian Barnes, Mark Redeker, Mickey Edmondson and Ray Fournier round out the top 10, Joe.
And interestingly, we just found out that Budweiser has a bit of damage on his car, and he was actually using Craig Capon, had him pull up next to him, eye his car and see if he's got any, and give him some information. And we understand that it's on the right rear, Sam.
Yeah, you can see it on camera there. Don't know how much that's aerodynamically going to affect it down straightaways. It's more about a turn, a handling issue, not quite sure where the damage occurred. But the lights are off on the pace car, and it will be 19 laps to go when we restart here. And we are on board the nose of Craig Capon, and we'll be able to see what kind of start. Wysett already on the power, pulling far away from Capon, and the story is going to be where is Ryan Worley and how fast can he pull through the field. Right now in 6th place. Craig Capon and everyone dropped a bit back of Wysett here. Wysett running away with the lead, Joe.
Yeah, he is getting a gap in a hurry. I think he really wants that with only these 19 laps left to go. At this point, everyone should clearly make it on fuel. It's all just a matter of busting butt to try and get to the end first.
Worley looking down the inside to Paulison in turn 3. Paulison is going to give it up and loses a spot to Brian Barnes too. Brian Barnes up to 6th, Worley up to 5th. Battle for 3rd between Ryan Toma and Neil Froelich, Sean.
Yeah, and Froelich tried to make a move to the inside and couldn't do it. Toma keeps in front of him as they go across the stripe. Here we go in turn 1, and it looks like Froelich's going to stay in line for right now, but he's coming real close to the rear deck, and he makes a move to the inside as we head to 2. Froelich's able to pull off the pass. He's on the rumble strips back up in front of Toma, and he takes the position and he sets his sights on Craig Capon. Well,
but Toma's coming back at him. That is gutsy stuff to attempt to pass through the short chute, and Toma isn't able to make it back past. Wow, Neil Froelich has got the bit between his teeth, Sam.
And they've been losing time. Look at Ryan Worley attacking them right now. Meanwhile, I can tell you up front that Craig Capon is running Budweiser down as Ryan Worley takes 4th place away, and now will... Oh no, Ryan Worley, and he's in the wall! First mistake we've seen Worley make all race. Toma goes to the grass to avoid him. Caution is not out yet. And that is the second crash Worley has had, so he would get a free repair. But if he doesn't get a caution, he's not going to have a chance to get it. And Worley just overshot the turn, trying to make up too much time in too short a space. And now the race is on between Budweiser and Craig Capon.
Ryan Worley is definitely ducking off, and yes, he's exited the track now. I think his day is done.
Wow, what a shame. Incredible run by Ryan Worley to have it all end like that. Just amazing.
So this race turns completely on its head. Everyone can make it to the end on fuel. Budweiser is currently leading by 2nd. He was actually able to pull out on Craig Capon that lap, but Craig Capon has been ran down by Neil Froelich, whose fastest lap is faster than that of Bud's, and actually was 3/10 faster than Budweiser last time around. So Froelich seems to have a faster car right here, and if he can get by Capon, he might be able to run down. Weiser in his last 15 laps for the win, Joe.
This is when these guys are turning the wick all the way up. They're using all of the track and taking the risks that they didn't want to take before. And you saw it starting to bite a few people. That's what happened with Ryan Worley, just getting a little too high up into that wall. And it was a glancing blow, but it was enough damage that his handling was not good enough to able to continue. Meanwhile, Neil Froelich is being put back down by Capon, or is he not? Capon has to back out into turn 3.
Yeah, Froelich is really strong up in the center of the turn. He can get off those turns really, really well through the center. It's amazing. His car is handling where others seem to not be handling. And watch out Budweiser, because he's on his way.
Yeah, this could certainly be our run down to the finish. Weisert can't look at Lakes and Moose anymore. Froelich, he's got to be looking at his mirrors, trying to see what kind of pace Froelich is as it looks single file through the rest of the field. It could be green from here to the end, Joe.
And this is where Froelich and Capon have got to start working together to try and run down Weisert if they've got the pace. Otherwise, those guys are just going to be losing hand over fist to each other.
13 laps left to go as they cross the line. Let's take a look at the lap times here. Froelich runs a 41.0, Weisert ran a 40.7, so Weisert actually able to pull away a little bit that lap. Oh, and this is why, because he's in a hard battle with Craig Capon still. This really isn't helping these two guys run down the leader.
And look at Brian Barnes really closing up on the back of Capon. He wants a bit of this action. He thinks he can get on the podium, but he has to back out of it into 3, Sean.
Yeah, here comes Barnes out of nowhere all of a sudden. And, you know, we said before he was sitting in the catbird seat. Well, he's back in it. And he's making his way up onto the bumper here of Capon. I mean, here we go. The race is on. As they go across the stripe, Barnes is down to the inside and gets his way past Capon, with Froelich in his sights, making his way through the turn, through the short chute, and on back to the back stretch. Here they come. And Froelich is holding position there in front of him, but Barnes is coming. Watch out. Here we go.
I'm not quite sure Barnes has the pace to match Froelich. It's very unfortunate that in all that battling, Froelich lost about 1.5 seconds to Weisert that lap. And I don't think even if he was fast enough to match Weisert or closing him, they could make that up unless there's a caution, which could very well happen with 11 laps left to go now, Joe.
This time by Froelich with a 40.7, Budweiser with a 40.743. So it was about 2/100 shy for Froelich to try and make up time. He is just not fast enough to try and cut down that 3.5 second gap.
Meanwhile, go ahead, Sean.
I was going to say, it might be an impossible task to pull off at this point. Unless Barnes can sneak or get a little closer to him, they can work this draft and maybe, you know, gain a couple of seconds here. They might have a chance.
I think not thinking about the win right now, although Barnes did back off Froelich there. Frolic able to close in 1/10, but that's not enough this far out. It looks like this will be a battle 1 for second. Remember, Barnes is competing for points, and the second or third place finish here would certainly be a boost in the points, Joe.
Now, we do have to think about some of these back markers that they're coming upon. I know that Weissert just dispensed with one, but he's got David Freeboth as well.
Barnes just pulls off the pass on Frolic as they head on down the front stretch and across the line. Barnes will take second place. Frolic in third. But I don't think it's enough to catch Weiser.
Yeah, and I've got to recall that Craig Capon was Joe's pick, currently running in fourth. Neil Frolic is in third. And obviously I said Ryan Worley was my pick, but I obviously meant Bud Weissert. He's in the lead. So right now I'm winning. But this battle for second is hot and heavy, Joe.
And Barnes is definitely not giving up without a fight, with Neil Frolic trying to come back at him. But I was going to say that you have to wonder what could have been with Brian as Neil tries to set him up for a pass into one, drafting him down. But no, he holds back coming down the front stretch. So Neil decides it's not worth fighting right now. I'm wondering if he's thinking about a last lap snipe. Brian Barnes, boy, if he could have qualified up in the top and actually put a time in, could he actually be up with Bud Weissert right now?
I'm not quite sure. I don't think he's had the single lap pace of him, but obviously this late in the race it just matters whether you have a draft or not. Meanwhile, they were actually faster than Weissert last time by, but I think Weissert was able to pull away this time. It's too little too much, and even if a caution did come out, I mean, in 3 laps time there'll be only 4 laps left to go, and if a caution came out at that point, the race would end under yellows. So the only way that they're going to catch Weissert is, well, 1, if Weissert makes a mistake, but 2, there would have to be a caution within the next 3 laps.
Well, never say never in this race. As we've seen, we've had some top contenders wreck out very unexpectedly, especially with Ryan Worley there at the end.
Watching this battle for second continue, and it could certainly come down to a last lap pass, like you say, Joe. Neil Frolic, and they actually took several tenths out of Bud Weissert that lap. I don't know, Bud Weissert ran a 41 that lap. Was he just cruising, or did he make a mistake? Sean, did you see anything?
No, I didn't. Unfortunately, I'm kind of following this battle here for second and third. I didn't see whether or not he made a mistake. But you know, maybe this draft here that they're running, Brian and Neil, might be paying off here.
Now,
when was the last time Weissert pit? Go ahead, Jay.
I was going to say, now, I know it's a bit of a risky move to be waiting till the end, especially if we do get that caution, but I feel like Neil is playing the smartest game out of everybody here, because he knows that if he gets in front, he's just going to be a sitting duck. We've seen this time after time with these DW12 cars. So Neil is just kind of holding back. He's had opportunities here and there. What he wants is that right moment before the final lap with Brian Barnes, that he can get a good momentous run, and Brian will have no answer for the rest of the lap. He wants to ruin his momentum and time it just right.
This battle for second is certainly what's going on right now, because even if there would be a battle for the lead, it's not going to happen for a little while. 2.7 seconds was the gap last time by. This race should finish within its time limit. 2.6 seconds now the gap, with 4 laps remaining. Meanwhile, there's a great battle going on for 5th place with Ryan Tomey in front of Steve Paulison, Mark Redeker. That's all for position. Drew Lalonde behind them is a couple laps down now, so we'll keep an eye on that during the closing laps of this race.
You know, Frolic is starting to lose a little bit of ground to Barnes. I wonder if he's still trying to set him up, or if he's actually starting to lose. Those tires are maybe starting to fall off a little bit.
It's a possibility. It's certainly not going to help him if in their run down Weissert, if that's what they were attempting, because now the draft is broken. Maybe Frolic is leading Barnes into a false sense of security. Who knows? But there's 3 laps left to go. There's not a whole lot of time to begin playing games. You've got to turn into attack mode very soon, I should have a feeling, Joe.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Budweiser right now, and I think maybe the drop time was because of lap traffic. He's been running into it here and there. Right now he's coming up on Ray Fournier, just going to be able to sneak by without, I think, losing too much time. But he's been dealing with it pretty well. The only thing is you can't get too cocky, you can't get too relaxed. You have to be on your toes with that lap traffic. Thankfully, I think that's it until Mickey Edmondson, which is way, way up. Yeah, he's got a long way up to the next lap traffic, so he should be good from here on out with only 2 laps left to go.
1.5 laps left to go. 10th place, Mickey Edmondson, 2 laps down. Drew Lalonde, 9th place, 1 lap down. As is Ray Fournier, is 1 lap down in 8th. Mark Rediker is behind Steve Paulison and Ryan Toma in the battle for 5th. Craig Capon 4th. Nils Rolik 3rd. Brian Barnes 2nd, but here's Budweiser in the lead by 2.5 seconds as he takes a white flag here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He should have enough fuel. He doesn't have any traffic, providing he hits these apexes correct, Joe. Budweiser should come back to the line as an Indianapolis 500 champion.
He's been fighting the whole day to try and take that win, and right now it's looking like he's got it in his hand. Just 2 more corners and no mistakes, and he can take the checkers.
We've seen mistakes, and there has been a crash back at about 5th place, but we'll keep the cameras on Budweiser here, who comes out of turn 4, coasting across the finish line. Budweiser wins the Northwest Majors Indianapolis 500, and Ryan Toma, now we'll finally get a look at him. His car and Steve Paulison's car are going to limp around to the finish line. Brian Barnes 2nd, Neil Froelich 3rd, Craig Capon 4th, Ryan Toma and Steve Paulison in a battered battle for 5th. It looks like it's going to be Steve's. Oh, I'm sorry, Mark Rediker was able to jump them both. He finishes 5th.
What a finish. What a finish for Mark Rediker. You know, he was down a lap or 2 at one point, managed to get all the way back up there.
In fact, Rediker qualified 19th and finished in 5th. That is an impressive jump.
What about Brian Barnes, who started 27th and finished 2nd? Well, Budweiser, we'll keep a camera on him, see if he does any burnouts or anything here. But yeah, Budweiser ended up winning the race. Brian Barnes in 2nd, Neil Froelich 3rd, Craig Capon 4th, and Mark Rediker 5th. Steve Paulison 6th, Ryan Toma brought his battered car home in 7th. Ray Fournier, Drew Lalonde, and Mickey Edmondson rounded out the top 10, Joe.
David Freeboth finished 11th. Ryan Worley, unfortunately, after leading so many laps, came home 12th. Carl Burke was 13th. Chris Beck finished in 14th. Scott Hutchinson was 15th. Then in 16th, it's Mike Willett. Joshua Gardner in 17th. Matt Gelder in 18th. 19th was Skip Worthington. And 20th with Sheila Reiber.
And in 21st, we had Randy Webster. In 22nd, James Jonas III. In 23rd, Kevin Kernodle. In 24th, Tim Reiber. In 25th, William Fletcher. In 26th, Jared Morgan. In 27th, Adam Strachan. In 28th, Wayne Hutchinson. In 29th, Garrett Gruchala. In 30th, Seth Frazier. In 31st, Troy Anderson. 32nd, Brian Pager. And in 33rd, Lauren Doolittle.
Well, unfortunately, we don't have our winner in the interview booth, and we're running very close on time frame for this broadcast anyhow, so we're going to head out for the night. So congratulations to Budweiser on his win. We're sure he's very pleased with taking that number 17 car to victory lane in a race that took 3 hours, 35 minutes and 2 seconds, 0.241 seconds. We would like to thank Mike Willett for putting on this league. We would also like to thank the makers of various software and hardware that help make this stream possible: iRacing.com, XSplit, Twitch.tv, Audio Technica, and Ava Media. Thanks to the team today. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at www.globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and race highlights. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel. A big thanks to Dougie Beard for creating the camera sets that you saw during the stream. A special thank you to Eric Ekholm, who provides us with much of our music. You can find it not only here on GSLC, but in TV commercials, movie trailers, iTunes and Spotify. If you like our music, tell Eric where you heard it at ericekholm.com. Thanks to Casey Lalonde, who also provides us with music for our broadcasts. You can find more of his music at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. Our next race for the Northwest Majors Series, Round 6, will be held on Sunday, June 8th at 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time. That will be in the Formula 1 car at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Canada. As for the next broadcast for the rest of the series that we cover, our next broadcast will be the American Sim Racing Series this Wednesday, May 28th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, where the Camping World Trucks will take on Dover Speedway up in Delaware. The iSuper Speedway will be racing Friday night, May 30th, 10 p.m. Eastern Time at Talladega Super Speedway. The VSRA, the Virtual Sim Racing Association, will be back on Sunday, June 1st, 9 p.m. Eastern Time at Silverstone with their BMWs. The EPS Endurance Pro Series Sports Car League will be on Saturday, June 7th at 11:45 a.m. Eastern Time at Barber Motorsports Park. And the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series will race again on Saturday, June 14th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time at the Kansas Speedway Road Configuration. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and I'll see you on the track.